Chapter 4481. Indeed. Apart from them, I can't think of anyone else who would do such a thing. The emperor nodded in agreement. Were these little bastards really going to wreak havoc in the central dynasty? Previously it was Han Zhongqing, but they didn't succeed. Now it was the families of the 9 commanders, and they didn't even leave a single one alive. How vicious and merciless. What would happen next? Would it be the emperor's turn? Since they dared to touch his family, they would be destroyed. Looking at the father and daughter, the inner demon said telepathically, "It seems that I can only take the blame. It doesn't matter. They've always been the scapegoat anyway." Lu Jijin smiled inwardly. Scapegoat? The inner demon's mouth twitched. You're too heartless. That's right. Look at them now. After they entered the central dynasty, even Dong Qingyuan and the others want them to take the blame. That was true. In the central dynasty, when many people did something bad, the first thing that came to their minds was to make Qin Feiyang and the others take the blame. First of all, Qin Feiyang and the others were the intruders. Secondly, they were lawless and could do anything. No one would suspect anything if they took the blame. Investigate. Only when we find their whereabouts and get rid of them will the central dynasty be at peace. I hereby announce that you are free from your punishment and go after Qin Feiyang. The emperor looked at the 9 commanders and said, "Yes." The 9 great commanders bowed and replied. Seeing the killing intent in the 9 commanders' eyes, the inner demons and Lu Jijin looked at each other. It seemed that they had to find a chance to get rid of these 9 people. The Xuanwu world. No way. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked when they received the inner demon's telepathic message. How could they kill so many people? You'd better tell Dong Qin to stop for a while, especially Han Zhongqing. Don't go there. Lu Jijin exhorted, and the shadow quickly dissipated. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment before putting away the voice transmission divine stone. He stood up and left the Black Tortoise world, appearing in the main hall outside. Looking at the sea lion beast king cultivating in the main hall, he asked, "Did Dong Qin return?" "No." The sea lion demon king opened his eyes and shook his head. "He didn't come back? Where is she hiding now?" Qin Feiyang mumbled under his breath. Returning to the Black Tortoise world, he took out the sound transmission divine stone and sent a message to Dong Qin. A moment passed. Wang. Finally, Dong Qin's phantom appeared. At this moment she seemed to be in a hidden cave. "Where are you?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Outside Hanzhong City." Dong Qin did not hide anything. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, "So, you really plan to attack Han Zhongqing?" "Yes. But don't worry, I haven't lost my rationality yet. I'm slowly looking for an opportunity. Otherwise, I would have already made my move on Han Zhongqing the night I massacred the 9 commanders' families." Dong Qin's body was full of murderous intent, and her eyes were filled with blood-red light. "I'm really here to kill you." When I heard the message from the inner demons and big cousin, I still couldn't believe it. Qin Feiyang laughed. "They must pay the price for this." Dong Qin said coldly, "I don't object to this matter. However, why didn't you tell me about such an important matter in advance? I could have asked the Sea Lion Demon King to help you. What if something happened to you?" Qin Feiyang was helpless. Since Dong Qin was his partner now, he had to be responsible for Dong Qin. "You're concerned about me?" Hearing Qin Feiyang's words, Dong Qin's heart throbbed inexplicably. "You're our partner now. Of course we care about you." The white-eyed wolf next to them couldn't help but roll his eyes when he heard this. Dong Qin glanced at the white-eyed wolf and then looked at Qin Feiyang. Suppressing the inexplicable throbbing in her heart, Dong Qin said indifferently, "Don't worry about me. I'm fine." She was still not used to this kind of concern. Although Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were sincere, she was no longer willing to trust anyone after the betrayal of Dong Hanzong and Dong Qing'an. "You make it sound like we're worried about you. We're afraid that you'll drag us down." The white-eyed wolf sneered. This was a typical example of being cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Hearing this, Dong Qin seemed to be a little disappointed in her heart. "But then again, you're really capable. I heard from Big Cousin and the inner demons that the families of the 9 great commanders didn't even know where they were hiding. But now in just half a year you've found them all." The white-eyed wolf said. "It's different. The 9 great commanders have always regarded the inner demons and Lu Jijin as rivals. Naturally, they wouldn't reveal any information to them. But I'm Dong Qingyuan's disciple. They didn't guard against me, so I knew a little about them before. Although I didn't know much, at least I had some clues. So, after a detailed investigation, and with my mother's help in secret, it was naturally not difficult to find out the location of their families. Dong Qin said indifferently. Qin Feiyang asked, so all the people you killed this time were their families? Yes. There are rules on the Imperial Capital Mountain. Those who are not members of the Imperial Palace or the Death God Army are not allowed to stay on the Imperial Capital Mountain. Even the families of the 9 great commanders are no exception. And as commanders, they have offended many people in their lives. Although they are powerful and no one dares to seek revenge on them, as the saying goes, it's easier to dodge a spear in the open than an arrow in the dark. So they carefully protect their families. Dong Qin explained. Don't they have their own clansmen? As commanders of the Death God Army, they should have more clansmen than this, right? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Even Dong Hanzong could build a large-scale Hanzong city, let alone the 9 great commanders who often held high positions. Although on the surface the central dynasty is full of families, in fact there are also many rural villages. These rural villagers don't belong to any family. They are all independent existences. In your words, they are itinerant cultivators. It is said that these commanders are all such people. They don't have a strong family or background. They rely on their own hands and efforts to climb to their positions step by step. Moreover, because of the special nature of the Death God Army, they are not allowed to develop their own forces in private. So, although their status in the central dynasty is very high, their family's forces are not strong. Dong Qin said. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf nodded in understanding. That was right. Thinking back, even the people of the central dynasty were not clear about the situation of the Death God Army. The creatures of the 4 great continents had never heard of it. This was because the Death God Army was too special and too secretive. In short, they were killing machines cultivated by the Emperor. If they were allowed to develop their own forces, the secret of the Death God Army would definitely be exposed. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looked at Dong Qin and said, we don't have any plans for the time being. Why don't you come back first? Why should I go back? Dong Qin was suspicious. You have only grasped 7 of the 8 ultimate profundities of the supreme laws. Why don't you come back first and use this time to comprehend the other ultimate law? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. How can it be that easy? Dong Qin was speechless. She felt that in this person's eyes, comprehending the ultimate laws was as simple as drinking water. Are you stupid? It is indeed not easy to comprehend, but isn't it easy to integrate the inheritance? The white-eyed wolf looked at this woman speechlessly. Inheritance? Dong Qin was slightly stunned, and her eyes suddenly lit up. She asked, you will give me the inheritance? Nonsense. If we don't give you the inheritance, why did we call you back? You are really stupid. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes. Okay, I will come back right away. And I can integrate it directly. Because I have already comprehended the 8th ultimate law. After Dong Qin said that, she immediately turned off the voice transmission stone, changed her appearance, opened the space-time passage, and returned to Qingfeng City. This person is really realistic. Previously, I didn't see her intention to come back at all, but when she heard that we are going to give her the inheritance, she immediately rushed back. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Now I am afraid that she is more eager to become stronger than anyone else. Qin Feiyang smiled and picked up the teacup. However, at this moment, a mysterious and terrifying aura suddenly emerged in the sky. The two immediately looked up and saw Long Chan, who was sitting cross-legged in the sky, emitting a dazzling divine light, looking as dazzling as a scorching sun. What is going on? The two were surprised. Long Qin also appeared at the first moment. Because, ever since Long Chan grasped the will of heaven, his behavior was a little strange, so she was always paying attention to Long Chen's situation. Long Chen's aura became more and more terrifying. It almost covered half of the Black Tortoise realm, alarming countless creatures. Suddenly, a white barrier appeared around him, emitting a holy light. There was also a holy aura, as if a god had descended. This is his god's domain? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. The previous god's domain did not have such a strong aura. It seems to be God's domain. Qin Feiyang nodded. But why was the current God's domain so different from the previous God's domain? I am God, the ruler of everything. Suddenly, an ethereal voice reverberated between heaven and earth. This was Long Chen's voice. However, he did not speak because this was his will. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and the others had an illusion that Long Chen's will seemed to be above the will of heaven, dominating the origin of heaven and earth. What's going on? The origin energy is restless. Suddenly, Little Wimp descended from the sky and looked at Long Chen in surprise. What? Hearing Little Wimp's words, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. The origin energy was restless? Was it true? Don't joke. Long Chen's God's domain was very heaven-defying, but it was not heaven-defying to the extent that it could affect the origin energy. But looking at Little Wimp's serious eyes, it seemed that he was not lying. How could this be? God's domain suddenly became so heaven-defying. Chapter 4482. God's domain dominating heaven and earth. I am God, controlling all things. The faintly discernible voice rang out once again. Following closely, under the shocked gaze of Qin Feiyang and the others, the God's domain collapsed silently, turning into pieces of crystal light that were sent into the void and the earth. Seize the fortune of heaven and earth, reverse yin and yang. This time, Long Chen's voice was even more ethereal, as if his will had merged with heaven and earth. His voice echoed in every corner, lingering for a long time. Following this sentence, a terrifying force surged from all directions like a tide, rolling and roaring between heaven and earth. This is Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, Little Wimp, and Long Qin all looked at this scene in disbelief. Because this force was the Black Tortoise World's rule force. It can't be. He can actually control the Black Tortoise World's rule force. Isn't this rule power something that only you and Huolian can control, little brat? White-Eyed Wolf looked at Qin Feiyang and exclaimed, "It's not that simple. Not only can he control the rule force, but he can also control the origin force." Little Wimp landed in front of the two and said in a deep voice, "What?" Both of them were dumbfounded. Controlling the Black Tortoise World's origin force? This joke was too big. As the ruler of the Black Tortoise World, even Qin Feiyang didn't have the qualifications to control its core energy. Huolian, the guardian of the Black Tortoise World, could only control the power of laws. But now this child was telling them that Long Chen could control the Black Tortoise World's core energy? Wasn't this an international joke? I'm not joking with you. I can feel that the origin force of the Black Tortoise World is being controlled by him. Little Wimp's gaze was heavy. At this moment, facing Long Chen, he felt a great threat. Not to mention controlling the origin force, just controlling the rule force was something that would make one's scalp go numb. Boom! Suddenly, a deafening explosion resounded in the sky above. Qin Feiyang and the others raised their heads and looked over. Their faces were filled with shock as they saw a five-colored divine light emerging from the blue dome of heaven. If this wasn't the Black Tortoise World's origin energy, then what was it? It can really be controlled? When did the domain of divinity become so abnormal? Waves of shock surged in the hearts of these people. In other words, even if Long Chen was not the master of the world, he could still control the origin of the world. This was too crazy. However, at this moment, puff! Suddenly, Long Chen spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale instantly. His god's domain, which had merged with the heavens and the earth, turned into a rain of light and dissipated. What's going on? Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo were bewildered. Brother, Long Qin's expression changed. He quickly flew to Long Chen's side, his face full of worry. At this moment, Long Chen finally opened his eyes. There was a trace of weakness in his eyes. What happened to you? Seeing this, Long Qin asked with concern. It's nothing. I overestimated myself and tried to control the Black Tortoise World's origin energy. I suffered a backlash. Long Chen smiled bitterly and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He looked at his most beloved sister and comforted her. I'm fine, don't worry. That's good. Long Qin breathed a sigh of relief. Long Chen looked at the disappearing origin energy in the sky and muttered, "The effect of this epiphany is not bad. but I still need to work harder. After that, he took a deep breath and lowered his head to look at Qin Feiyang. White-eyed wolf, little brat. I'm sorry I couldn't hold it in. I hope I didn't scare you. He stepped in front of Qin Feiyang and the others and smiled apologetically. It's more than a scare. White-eyed wolf snorted and said, You have to compensate us for the mental damage. Haha. Long Chun laughed heartily and seemed to be in a good mood. He swallowed a healing pill and looked at little brat. I'm sorry, without your permission, I tried to control the black tortoise world's origin energy. Little brat was silent and stared at Long Chun. There seemed to be a trace of killing intent in his eyes. This little brat, don't tell me he wants to kill Long Chun. White-eyed wolf said telepathically. Looking at him, he seems to feel threatened. But it's really scary. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. Controlling the rule force and origin energy, this kind of method was unheard of. Using the word heaven-defying was not enough to describe it. Long Chun also felt little brat's killing intent and quickly smiled. Don't worry, without your permission, I won't do this again. Little brat still did not say a word. You little brat, are you interested? Now that we're on the same boat, the stronger my big brother is, the more help he will be to us. Don't tell me you still want to kill a genius? Long Qin stared at little brat angrily. Little brat looked at Long Qin, then looked at Long Chun, then left without saying a word. A silent person is indeed a little scary. White-eyed wolf muttered. Although little brat was like a porcelain doll, anyone who understood him would not dare to be presumptuous. Long Chun also breathed a sigh of relief. Sit. Qin Feiyang smiled. The four of them walked to the stone table and sat down. Qin Feiyang poured a cup of tea and handed it to Long Chun, saying, Tell me what happened? Long Chun took a sip of tea and smiled faintly. It's just a coincidence. When I grasped the will of heaven, a light suddenly flashed in my mind. At that time, I had a very real feeling that my domain of divinity might be evolving. Evolving? Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. The current domain of divinity was the result of evolution. So at that time, I began to comprehend. I didn't expect it to really succeed. The current domain of divinity is completely different from the previous domain of divinity. Long Chun smiled. How powerful is it? White-eyed wolf was curious. As you have seen before, the current domain of divinity can be merged with heaven and earth. After the fusion, the entire heaven and earth will become my domain. And now, not only can the domain of divinity interfere with the rule force, but it can also control the world's rule force. Even the origin force can be interfered with. Long Chun said. So ridiculous? In other words, not only the black tortoise world, you can control the rule force of other worlds. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. Long Chun nodded. Fuck, this is too abnormal. White-eyed wolf's mouth twitched. Wait. But suddenly, White-eyed wolf was stunned and said, Since you can control the rule force, can you break the restrictions of the Kuanpeng Sea region and the Tabu Sea region? I haven't tried yet. But it should be possible. Long Chun said. White-eyed wolf gritted his teeth and said, Then won't it be convenient for us to return to the 4 great continents? How can it be so simple? We have to break the barrier formed by the origin force to return to the 4 great continents. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Long Qin was puzzled and said, Then what's the matter with interfering with the origin force? Because the domain of divinity hasn't reached the strength to control the origin force. As you have seen before, if I forcibly control the origin force, not only will I fail, but I will also suffer a backlash. So now I can only interfere slightly. To be more specific, if we encounter an enemy who has the origin force in the future, I can interfere so that it won't be so easy for them to control the origin force to kill us. Long Chun explained. This is also very abnormal. White-eyed wolf was stunned. This was the same as interfering with the rule power. Long Qin asked, in other words, your domain of divinity may evolve in the future, and at that time you will be able to truly control the origin force? It's indeed possible. However, it's also possible that it won't have the chance to evolve in its lifetime. After all, this kind of thing depends on luck. It can't be forced. Long Chun didn't take it too hard. He didn't have any regrets, nor was he depressed. There was a saying that didn't go like this. Contentment brings joy. If one was insatiable, One would fall into the abyss of desire step by step, and eventually become a puppet controlled by desire. Well, I've learned. No wonder that brat wanted to kill you. If your domain of divinity were to be leaked, I'm afraid that not only the brat, but also the rulers of the world, big and small, would definitely come to kill you. Because your current threat is no longer to an individual but to the entire world. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. What about you? Long Chun asked with a smile. What he wanted to know the most was Qin Feiyang's attitude. Me? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback, and then smiled. Let's put it this way, before you make a move on me, I will never make a move on you first. Haha, Long Chun laughed heartily. This friend was indeed not a waste of time. Now that Dong Qin has become our partner, our strength is getting stronger and stronger. I believe that we will definitely destroy the central dynasty and defeat the ruler of the divine kingdom. Qin Feiyang's eyebrows were brimming with unprecedented confidence. The confidence he showed before was mostly to appease everyone, because if even he didn't have confidence, how could others have confidence? Therefore, he had to stand up bravely. But at this moment, his confidence was genuine, without the slightest bit of pretense. Dong Qin. Long Chun was taken aback, and said in surprise, why would she be willing to follow us? It's a bit complicated. Let's talk over tea. Let me congratulate you first. Qin Feiyang picked up the teacup, replacing wine with tea, and gently touched Long Chen's teacup. Although the evolution of the god's domain posed a threat to the ruler of the world for Qin Feiyang, this was a good thing that was inspiring and morale-boosting. Soon, Dong Qin finally came back. Seeing Long Chun come out, she didn't feel anything, because they weren't familiar with each other. And now she didn't want to care about other things. Similarly, she didn't know for the time being how heaven-defying the god's domain was after the evolution. After chatting for a while, Qin Feiyang gave her an inheritance. She didn't say anything and directly turned away to find a place to integrate the inheritance. After going through a big change, she has indeed become different from before. Long Chun looked at Dong Qin's back and sighed. However, he really had to thank Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong for their betrayal. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to persuade Dong Qin, because she was a very stubborn woman. Chapter 4483. It's inevitable for a person's personality to change. Apart from Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong, the 9 commanders have already paid the price. Previously, when Inner Demon and Big Cousin sent us a message, they said that the 9 of them almost broke down in the Imperial Palace. Qin Feiyang smiled. Imperial Palace? Long Chun was stunned. It's where the Emperor lives. Qin Feiyang explained. Do I need you to solve this? Long Chun looked at Qin Feiyang speechlessly. Did he think he was stupid? He didn't even know the meaning of the Imperial Palace. What I want to ask is, why are the inner demons and Lu Jijin in the Imperial Palace? A lot of things happened while you were in seclusion. The 2 of them have now taken over the 10th squad as the commander and vice commander. So basically, they will be present for all the big and small matters in the central dynasty. Qin Feiyang smiled. Decisive. You have some means. Long Chun shook his head and laughed. He had sneaked into the Death God army so quickly and even became the commander and vice commander of the 10th squad. This way, it would be much more convenient for them to gather information with the power in their hands. There's one more thing. They want us to think of a way to get rid of the 9 commanders. Because the 9 commanders don't know that it was Dong Qin who killed their relatives, they think it was us. Now they hate us to the core. Getting rid of them as soon as possible will not only prevent a disaster, but also weaken the central dynasty's strength, Qin Feiyang said. Get rid of the 9 commanders. Long Chun murmured. Suddenly, a smile appeared on his face. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I'll give it a try. I want to use them to practice. Brother, don't be arrogant. Although your domain of divinity has evolved, the 9 commanders are in the Imperial Capital Mountain. The Imperial Capital Mountain is the most sacred place in the central dynasty. Aren't you courting death by going there alone? Long Qin's expression changed as he hurriedly advised. How could a place like the Imperial Capital Mountain be shaken by the strength of a single person? This brother of his was a little arrogant. Don't worry. When have I ever been reckless? I will do my best. Long Chun chuckled. This little girl didn't even trust him now. Seeing that his persuasion was futile, Long Qin could not help but look at Qin Feiyang for help. The white-eyed wolf. It's useless to look at us. Can we control your brother? The white-eyed wolf shrugged. Be careful. Don't force yourself. Of course, it's best not to get angry about your identity for now. When there's a chance in the future, you can give them a surprise. Qin Feiyang ignored Long Qin's gaze and looked at Long Chen. All right. Long Chen nodded and swallowed an illusory form pill. Then, he changed his appearance into a valiant middle-aged man. Qin Feiyang gave a few more instructions and then waved his hand, sending Long Chen out of the Black Tortoise realm. As for the content of the instructions, it was nothing more than going to find Ji Xiaowu to get the order of worship so that he could leave Green Wind City unimpeded. Long Qin angrily glared at Qin Feiyang and said angrily, "You're just jealous of my brother's talent. You want him to go to the imperial capital mountain to die on purpose. You're crazy." The white-eyed wolf glanced at her indifferently, then got up and strode away to continue fusing the inheritance. What did you say? Say it again. Long Qin angrily glared at the white-eyed wolf's back. You're Long Chen's sister. You actually know him so well. Can others persuade him to do something he's decided on? Moreover, don't you know his strength and mind? If you have the time to worry about him, why don't you worry about the imperial capital mountain? Who knows what will happen to it? Qin Feiyang shook his head. Am I crazy? I'm worried about the imperial capital mountain. Long Qin rolled her eyes. That's right. Your brother is a person who knows his limits. He knows what he can do and what he can't do. Don't worry too much. Besides, he can send us a message to ask for help at any time. Hurry up and go cultivate. Don't waste time. Now, Qin Feiyang faced Long Qin with a big brother tone and attitude. It's none of your business. Long Qin proudly raised her head, snorted through her nose and turned to leave. This girl. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. But when he was about to return to the castle to continue his seclusion, the little brat suddenly appeared again, looking troubled. Are you still troubled by this problem? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. This is controlling the power of rules and the power of origin. How can I not be troubled? The little brat glared at him. What a thick-skinned guy. Long Chen could control the power of rules and the power of origin of the Black Tortoise realm, but he was still so calm. Are you still the ruler of the Black Tortoise realm? Don't you realize the seriousness of the problem? Didn't he say just now that he can only control the power of rules and not the power of origin? He can only interfere. Qin Feiyang smiled. You think just interfering with the power of origin is a small matter? Let me tell you, there's nothing more important than this. But, speaking of this, the little brat's eyes revealed a trace of a sneer. Staring at Qin Feiyang, he said, I have a good solution. You don't want me to assassinate him, do you? Let me tell you, that's absolutely not possible. All these years, it's all because of him that we can obtain so many ultimate laws inheritance. If I were to assassinate him, wouldn't I be an ungrateful person? Qin Feiyang hurriedly shook his head. Get lost. Am I as filthy and despicable as you say? The little brat glared at him. More or less. Qin Feiyang muttered. What are you muttering about? Believe it or not, I will teach you a lesson. The little brat's face darkened. Was his image that bad? How could he be associated with filthy and despicable? Don't, a gentleman uses his mouth and not his fists. Qin Feiyang smiled. Although he now mastered the law of life and death, 3,000 incarnations, dual heavenly Tao wills, and the eye of heaven, to be honest, he really didn't have the confidence to face this little brat. Because the power of origin of the Black Tortoise realm was an unsolvable problem. Let me tell you, my idea is absolutely feasible. As long as it succeeds, even if his god's domain evolves again, it won't pose a threat to us. The little brat smirked. Tell me about it. Since he had already said so, it was still worth looking forward to. Doesn't Long Qin like Wolf Cub? Hurry up and matchmake them. As long as Wolf Cub can settle Long Qin, then Long Chen will be Wolf Cub's brother-in-law. In this way, won't we be a family? The little brat bared his teeth. Qin Feiyang was stunned. After looking forward to it for so long, it turned out to be such a bad idea? The little brat said, You don't have to care whether it's a bad idea or a good idea. Just tell me, is my idea reliable? Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered for a while, then nodded and said, "It's reliable, but now the white-eyed wolf is deliberately avoiding Long Qin. Moreover, there's still fire dance. These are all problems." "It's all a small problem." The little brat waved his hand with a look of indifference. Qin Feiyong pondered. Last time, he had talked to Long Qin about finding a time to test the white-eyed wolf's feelings for her, but he hadn't found a suitable opportunity. Now that he looked at it, shouldn't he speed up the progress? The little brat's eyes flashed slightly, and he said with a sly smile, "If we really want to test their feelings, I think we should let fire dance go with them." "What? Let fire dance go with them?" Qin Feiyong looked at the little brat in shock. With fire dance present, how could he test it? "You already have a wife and you don't even understand this?" The little brat looked at Qin Feiyong with disdain. Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched. "You're just a little brat who hasn't even grown hair. What right do you have to look down on me? You're not convinced? Let me tell you, let fire dance go with them. Go through hardships together, and witness Long Qin's feelings for the white-eyed wolf with her own eyes. At that time, she might be directly touched by Long Qin. On the contrary, if we wait for the white-eyed wolf and Long Qin to be honest and admit their feelings for each other, and then tell Fire Dance, then Fire Dance won't be mentally prepared at all. What do you think the result will be? There's no need to think about it. She'll definitely reject and oppose it. She might even leave in a fit of anger and hate the white-eyed wolf. This kind of hatred may be a matter of a lifetime. The little brat analyzed. When Qin Feiyong heard this, he felt that it made sense. The three of them went through storms and tribulations together. Not only could it deepen the relationship between Long Qin and the white-eyed wolf, it could also deepen the relationship between the two women at the same time, and give Fire Dance a process of adaptation and acceptance. Then, Qin Feiyong looked at the little brat strangely. "Why are you looking at me?" The little brat was suspicious. "I really didn't expect that a little brat like you would know so many things." He couldn't help but suspect that under the little brat's young appearance, there was an old antique soul hidden. "Of course, I'm not bragging. When it comes to men and women, I can kill 10 of you in a second." The little brat smiled proudly and was very proud. Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched. He really couldn't praise him. Once he praised him, he would want to go to heaven. "Do you agree with my suggestion?" the little brat asked. "Agree. However, now is not the time. After all, we are in the Central Dynasty and danger is everywhere. We have to wait for Fire Dance to master the will of heaven before we can let them out." Qin Feiyong said. "Okay. You can arrange this kind of thing yourself. I only have one condition. Only success, no failure." Little Wimp laughed mischievously, then soared into the sky, and left without looking back. Only success, no failure. Qin Feiyong was speechless. He even said that he understood the relationship between men and women very well. Didn't he know that feelings were the most variable? Who could guarantee that it would succeed? "Damned wolf cub, for the sake of your marriage, I've really worried myself to death." Qin Feiyong shook his head and sighed. He got up and tidied up the tea set on the table, and returned to the castle to continue comprehending the laws and fusing the inheritance. At the same time, outside, City Lord's mansion, Ji Xiaowu stood in the courtyard, watching the back of a departing figure outside the courtyard. His eyes were filled with awe. This figure was Long Chen. As for Long Chen, he naturally recognized him. Qin Feiyong had given him an ultimate profundity, and it was Long Chen who had helped him steal it. He was also an existence that caused others to tremble in fear. No, to be exact, this person was more terrifying than Qin Feiyong, Madman Mo, and Golden Wing Wolf King, because he had the means to take away others' ultimate profound. Chapter 4484. Imperial Capital Mountain. The black-haired old man whose body was destroyed by the inner demons was sitting cross-legged under the stone tablet, rebuilding his body. Below him there was an invisible time array. Whoosh! Suddenly, a burly figure descended above the entrance of the Imperial Capital Mountain. The black-haired old man opened his eyes suspiciously and looked up. He saw an unfamiliar burly man standing in the sky. The aura and pressure he exuded weren't very strong. What an unfamiliar aura. The black-haired old man murmured and asked, "Who are you? What business do you have with my supreme mountain?" Now, he was very low-key and couldn't find the arrogance he had when he first met Dong Yulan, because he was afraid that he would accidentally kick an iron plate. The burly man smiled and said, "I'm just a nobody, not worth mentioning." A nobody? The black-haired old man was slightly stunned. He sized up the burly man and indeed didn't have any impression of him, but he still didn't dare to be presumptuous. As the saying goes, once bitten, twice shy. What happened last time had already left a shadow in his heart. So now, even if he saw an unfamiliar face that he didn't have any impression of, he didn't dare to be careless. The burly man said, "I have something to ask the 9 commanders. I hope you can inform them." Asked to see the 9 commanders? The black-haired old man couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't Lu Yuntian or Lu Yunfeng's people, it was fine. He asked suspiciously, "You have something to ask the 9 commanders?" "Yes. I know the murderer of their family." The burly man nodded. Hearing this, the black-haired old man's eyes trembled. This was really shocking news. He asked, "Who is the murderer? It can't really be Qin Feiyong and the others, right?" "I won't say a word without seeing the 9 commanders." The burly man shook his head. The black-haired old man looked at the burly man for a moment and said, "Wait for me here, I'll go inform them now." "Thank you." The burly man cupped his hands and smiled. After the black-haired old man got up and left, the burly man curiously sized up the imperial capital mountain. The imperial capital mountain was formed by many giant peaks. In the mountains, clouds and mist lingered as auspicious beasts galloped. There were magnificent palaces and classical and elegant pavilions. Some of them were situated at the peak of the mountain while others were situated halfway up the mountain. Dense mist rose from them, and when looked at from afar, they were like immortal palaces. "I don't know if I can break through the barrier here with my current godly domain and enter the imperial capital mountain directly." That was right. He was Long Chun. Imperial Capital Mountain was the most sacred place in the Central Dynasty. Everyone knew about it, so anyone could easily find out where it was. He really did come to Imperial Capital Mountain. No one would believe it if he said it out loud. Wang! Suddenly, below, a space-time tunnel appeared. Long Chun looked down and saw a graceful figure walking out of the space-time tunnel. There's such a beauty in the Central Dynasty? Even Long Chun couldn't help but feel amazed at this moment. The woman was none other than Princess Yuxian. Her long dress was spotless, and her long hair was soft and beautiful. Her skin was as smooth as jade, sparkling with light. She was like an immortal that had descended to the mortal world. Just one look at her would be unforgettable. Princess Yuxian was about to enter the Imperial Capital Mountain when she suddenly noticed Long Chun in the air. She was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, "Who are you? Why are you standing at the entrance of the Imperial Capital Mountain? And who are you? Why should I answer your question?" Long Chun said lightly. "So arrogant?" Princess Yuxian was slightly stunned. A sly look flashed in her eyes as she said, "I'm a little maid of the Imperial Capital Mountain. Are you meeting someone? Do you want me to pass the message?" "Little maid?" Long Chun looked at Princess Yuxian in shock. How could a little maid have such an aura? How could a little maid wear such a luxurious and noble dress? Although he didn't know anyone from the Imperial Capital Mountain, there was no need to treat him like an idiot. He ignored Princess Yuxian and continued to look at the Imperial Capital Mountain. Looking at Long Chun's attitude, Princess Yuxian was instantly displeased. As the daughter of the emperor and the princess of the Central Dynasty, no one had ever dared to ignore her like this. She waved at Long Chun and said, "Come down." Long Chun turned a deaf ear to her. Although Princess Yuxian was very beautiful, he didn't feel anything about her. Other than her noble aura, she was no different from any other woman. This was because he understood that no matter how beautiful a woman was, she would become a pink skeleton after death. Seeing this, Princess Yuxian was getting angrier and angrier. She said angrily, "I order you to come down." When Long Chun heard this, he immediately had an answer in his heart. This woman must be the descendant of some big shot in the Imperial Capital Mountain. Because he had never seen Princess Yuxian before, and Qin Feiyong and the others didn't mention this woman in the Black Tortoise world, He didn't know that this woman in front of him was the emperor's beloved daughter. However, he still didn't move. Although he looked very ordinary after changing his appearance, his natural talent couldn't be hidden. How dare you? Princess Yuxian was surprised. Was there really someone in the Central Dynasty who dared to ignore her? It seemed like this person really didn't know her identity. Otherwise, he would have knelt in front of her like a dog, trying to curry favor with her. Whoosh! At this moment, 10 figures shot through the air like lightning. It was the black-haired old man, Dong Yuerong, and the other commanders. At this moment, Dong Yuerong and the other commanders were very anxious as they stared at the entrance of the imperial capital mountain. It's him, the black-haired old man said as he pointed at Long Chan. The 9 commanders immediately stared at Long Chan, but then they looked at Princess Yuxian below. What's going on? Why is Princess Yuxian here? Could it be that this so-called nobody knows Princess Yuxian? The black-haired old man was shocked. It can't be. Is he really a piece of metal? At this moment his mind was filled with thoughts. If Long Chen knew about this, he would be impressed by his imagination. After a few breaths, the 10 commanders finally flew out of the imperial capital mountain and landed in front of Princess Yuxian. They bowed and said, "Greetings, Princess Yuxian." Princess. Long Chen was stunned. The so-called princess must be the emperor's daughter. He did not expect to meet the emperor's daughter on his first trip to the imperial capital mountain. Yes, Princess Yuxian nodded and looked at Long Chen. Now that he knew her identity, he should be trying to curry favor with her. Unfortunately, she was disappointed, because she did not see what she wanted to see in Long Chen's eyes. Neither did he try to curry favor with her. What's going on? Princess Yuxian was puzzled. Is he an emotionless person? Because no one would be able to remain so calm after knowing her identity. The black-haired old man asked carefully, "Princess, do you know this person?" "No, I don't. I was just curious when I saw him standing here like a block of wood." Princess Yuxian shook her head. She heard about it. The black-haired old man heaved a sigh of relief. Princess Yuxian asked suspiciously, "Why did he come to the imperial capital mountain?" The black-haired old man said truthfully, "He said he knows the real murderer who killed the commanders' families." What? Princess Yuxian was shocked. She looked at Long Chen and asked, "Who is the real murderer?" The 9 commanders also glared at Long Chen, killing intent surging out of their eyes. Long Chen looked at them with a hint of mockery in his eyes and said, "I can tell you, but what benefits can you give me?" Benefits? The black-haired old man was stunned and suddenly understood. No wonder he would only tell them after meeting the commanders. He wanted to take the opportunity to ask for benefits from the commanders. However, wasn't this person too irrational? One must know. The person standing in front of him was Princess Yuxian. Who gave him the courage to ask for benefits from Princess Yuxian? Long Chen smiled and said, "I can't tell you for no reason." The commanders clenched their fists. What a reckless person. Not to mention the Moon Fairy Princess, even the 9 great commanders couldn't stand such blatant extortion. If not for Princess Yuxian's presence, they would have already taken Long Chen down. "What do you want?" Princess Yuxian took a deep breath and asked Long Chen. Long Chen coughed and said with a smile, 10 ultimate laws and a pinnacle dominator divine weapon." What? The commanders and the black-haired old man were stunned. 10 ultimate profundities of the strongest laws and a pinnacle dominator divine weapon? What a joke. Even the commanders did not have a pinnacle dominator divine weapon. He was asking for too much. Dong Qian said in a deep voice, "Do you know who you are negotiating with?" Of course. The 9 commanders of the Death God army and the Emperor's daughter. So what? I give you the information and you give me the reward. It's only right. Do I have to tell you for free just because you have a high status? Long Chen's lips curled into a mocking smile. You're courting death. How dare you offend Her Highness? The black-haired old man was enraged and shouted at Long Chen. Even the princess has to be reasonable. Long Chen chuckled and was unmoved. You have guts. Princess Yuxian nodded and smiled. She looked at Long Chen and said, I don't have a pinnacle dominator divine weapon and 10 inheritances are too much. I can agree to give you 2 inheritances. Are you trying to dismiss a beggar? Seems like you are not sincere. If that's the case, then I'm sorry. Goodbye. After saying that, he turned and left. Whoosh! The moment he turned, the 9 commanders moved and surrounded Long Chun. They surrounded Long Chun. Long Chun raised his eyebrows and looked at the 9 commanders. You want to beat me into a confession? The 9 commanders were furious. If it wasn't for Princess Yuxian, they would have killed him. They said, we are all reasonable people. Why would we beat you up? However, 10 inheritances are too much. How about this? We will give you 5 inheritances. 5 inheritances? Long Chun was slightly stunned. He shook his head and sneered. Interesting. The 9 commanders of the Death God army can't even get 9 inheritances. Don't go overboard. The 9 commanders' eyes darkened. The Central Dynasty did have inheritances, but they were not in charge of them. In other words, they had no right to control them. The only one who could control them was the emperor. In short, without the emperor's permission, even if the inheritances were in front of them, they would not dare to touch them. Chapter 4485. 5 legacies is too much. How about this? I don't want the Pinnacle Dominator Divine Weapon, but I want the 10 Ultimate Law inheritances, not one less. Long Chun looked at the 9 of them and said. The 9 of them were furious. Why couldn't they persuade her? What kind of place was this? Even if they gave her 10 legacies, would she be able to take them away? Okay. As long as your answer satisfies me, I can give you 10 legacies. Princess Moon Fairy's voice suddenly sounded. Your Highness. The 9 of them and the black-haired old man looked at Princess Moon Fairy in disbelief. She actually agreed to this person's request? It's useless to talk. You have to give me the legacies before I can tell you. Long Chun lowered his head and looked at Princess Moon Fairy. Don't go overboard. Princess Moon Fairy is the apple of the Emperor's eye. Why would she lie to you? The black-haired old man standing beside Princess Moon Fairy shouted angrily. Who knows? Long Chun pursed his lips. I'm a princess. Am I not worthy of your trust? Looking at Long Chun's attitude, Princess Moon Fairy was also angry. It's hard to know what's in a person's heart. Long Chun laughed. In fact, he wanted to send Princess Moon Fairy away on purpose. Because the Moon Fairy Princess was the daughter of the Emperor, she might have some trump cards on her. If they were to make a move later with this woman present, there might be some variables. For example, the origin energy. Although he could interfere with the origin energy now, it was still the Divine Kingdom's origin energy. The Divine Kingdom's origin energy was much stronger than the Black Tortoise World's origin energy. Therefore, he didn't dare to take the risk. Okay, wait here. I'll go get the legacies now. But remember, if I find out that you're lying to us, you'll be destroyed. Princess Moon Fairy laughed angrily. She turned around and entered the Imperial Capital Mountain. She didn't even look back. The 9 great commanders and Princess Yuxian looked at the departing figure and exchanged glances. Their eyes were filled with killing intent at the same time. They were actually waiting for Princess Yuxian to leave. Because as long as Princess Yuxian left, they would be able to attack without restraint. What do you want? I'm telling you all, do not act recklessly. Right now, I am the only one who knows who killed your family. Still, the princess told us to wait for her here. If you kill me, the princess won't let you off easily. Long Chun revealed a timid expression as he looked at the 9 commanders. Now you know fear? Unfortunately, it's too late. Reckless fool, how dare you blackmail us? You're not telling me? It doesn't matter. As long as we capture you, we have 10,000 ways to make you talk. As for your highness, when she asks later, we'll say that you started it. Of course, you can also defend yourself. But do you think her highness will trust us or you, a stranger? The 9 people sneered. The black-haired old man was also gloating. How dare you blackmail the 9 great commanders? Do you think you're Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng? Looking at the 10 of them, Long Chun was extremely flustered. Attack. Don't let him self-destruct. And don't give him a chance to destroy his divine soul. Dong Haitian shouted. Boom! In the next moment, the 9 people's aura erupted as they charged toward Long Chun. With their strength, killing an ordinary person was nothing more than a piece of cake. Moreover, the 9 of them were working together. Hence they never thought that they would fail. But at this moment, Long Chen's lips curled up slightly. The timid and panicky expression that he showed earlier vanished instantly. Boom! In the next moment, the god's domain appeared. Long Chen, who stood in the god's domain, was like a god that controlled everything. His aura was completely different from before. What is this? The 9 people were stunned. Without hesitation, they threw a punch at the god's domain. I am God, the ruler of everything, Long Chen said. His voice resounded in all directions. However, the god's domain did not collapse, nor did it merge with the world. It still maintained its original appearance. However, when the 9 people's fists landed on the god's domain, they felt as though they had landed on a ball of cotton. All of their strength was easily dissipated. How is this possible? The 9 people were shocked. This must be a dream. The black-haired old man rubbed his eyes hard. His face was filled with disbelief. You still don't know that you're about to die. How foolish. Long Chen smiled disdainfully. He took a step forward and instantly landed in front of the 9 people. The god's domain enveloped the 9 people. What the hell is this? The 9 people were shocked to find that they were unable to activate their ultimacy at this moment. For an expert with the will of heaven, it was a terrifying thing to be unable to activate their ultimacy when facing an enemy. This meant that no matter how many ultimacies you had, no matter how strong you were, you would be like a cripple without any ability to fight back. Destroy all of you. Long Chen's eyes flashed with killing intent. The 6 ultimacies roared out as the will of heaven erupted. What? He has also mastered the will of heaven. The black-haired old man and the 9 commanders were shocked. The black-haired old man made a prompt decision and fled towards the entrance of the imperial capital mountain. As long as he entered the imperial capital mountain, he would be fine. The 9 commanders also wanted to escape from the god's domain. However, Long Chen did not give them the chance to do so. The god's domain instantly expanded. Not only did it trap the 9 commanders, but it also enveloped the black-haired old man who was about to escape into the imperial capital mountain. No. Who are you? The 10 people screamed in despair. Me. Then remember my name, Long Chen. Long Chen smiled faintly. As his voice fell, the 6 ultimacies carried the will of heaven and attacked. It's you. No. I don't want to die. The 10 people roared, shocking everyone. Whoosh! Figures flew out from the imperial capital mountain. They stood in the air and looked at the exit in shock. What was going on? Were those the screams of the 9 commanders? Who was so daring to come to the imperial capital mountain to kill them? Immediately, these people rushed towards the exit with murderous intent. The first to arrive was the Moon Fairy Princess. When the battle broke out, she realized that something was wrong and immediately returned. However, when she returned, she only saw blood floating in the air. Long Chen had already disappeared. Princess, what's going on? The others arrived one after another. Among them were the inner demons Lu Jiajin, Dong Hanzong, and Dong Qingyuan. Looking at the shattered ground and the blood that was splattering in the air, their faces were filled with shock and anger. Someone killed the 9 commanders and the guards here. The Moon Fairy Princess clenched her fists. Her eyes were extremely cold. Who dared to come to the imperial capital mountain to kill people? Moreover, the 9 commanders were killed. This was undoubtedly a blatant provocation of the imperial capital mountain. What? They were killed so quickly? How is that possible? The 9 commanders all have the will of heaven. Even if the other party has the will of heaven, it shouldn't be so fast. The faces of everyone present were filled with disbelief. Could it be little cousin? No, this isn't his style. He wouldn't take the risk now. If it isn't little cousin, then who could it be? The mysterious young man? But this isn't his style either. Could it be the white-eyed wolf and the lunatic? That's not right either. The lunatic is now in the Myriad Demons Valley. The white-eyed wolf, based on his style, he would definitely show off after killing the 9 commanders before leaving. What's going on? The inner demons and Lu Jijin were very confused at this moment. Princess, this must be the doing of Qin Feiyang and the others. Suddenly an angry roar sounded. The inner demons and Dong Qingyuan looked up and saw Dong Qingyuan looking like he was about to eat someone. That's right. It must be them. I really can't think of anyone else in the Central Dynasty who would have the guts to come to the imperial capital mountain and kill people. The others also nodded in agreement. Princess Yuxian's eyes flashed coldly. She suddenly looked at the inner demons and asked, "What do you think?" Lu Zhijin pretended to ponder for a while and said, "First, the families of the 9 commanders were killed. Now they were killed. I think it must be the doing of Qin Feiyang and the others. Maybe it's because these 9 pieces of trash have offended too many people. For example, it's possible that it's some ambitious person." The inner demons bared his teeth and glanced at Dong Hanzong. "Why are you looking at me? Do you think it's me?" Dong Hanzong said angrily. "I didn't say that. I just said that it's possible. So don't confess without being pressed." The inner demons laughed. "You..." Dong Hanzong glared at the inner demons. "It can't be Dong Hanzong. He's been with me all this time." Dong Qingyuan said, "Old thing, I didn't take the initiative to target you. Why did you bump into me?" The inner demon sneered and said meaningfully, "Then is it possible that the 9 commanders know too many secrets of someone, so that person wants to silence them? You bastard! What are you talking about? Who are you talking about?" Dong Qingyuan shouted angrily. How dare they shift the blame to him? "I'm talking about someone, but I didn't mention his name. Is it really you? How can you do this? They are your confidants. They are loyal to you. No matter how many secrets they know, they won't betray you. Sigh. They worked so hard for you for so many years, but in the end, their families are ruined. It's really disappointing." The inner demon shook his head and sighed. He said it as if it was true. Dong Qingyuan was trembling with anger. "Enough. They're already at your doorstep. Why are you still causing trouble?" Princess Yuxian glared at them, her face full of anger. "Princess, it's not us who want to cause trouble. It's someone who wronged us in the imperial palace, saying that we're the real culprits who killed the 9 commanders' families. Right now, I merely want them to have a taste of what it is like to be wrongly accused." The inner demon sneered. Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan's faces darkened when they heard this. The so-called someone was obviously talking about them. Chapter 4486. While the inner demons were targeting Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan, in the sky above Hanzong City, buzz, a space-time tunnel appeared. This space-time tunnel was not concealed. In an instant, many people noticed the space-time tunnel, especially the members of the Death God Army who were hiding in the city. Their eyes were fixed on the space-time tunnel. Although Qin Feiyang and the others had not appeared for a long time, none of the members of the Death God Army dared to relax. Thud! One by one, footsteps came from the space-time tunnel. These footsteps were very ethereal, as if containing a magical power, causing the heartbeat of everyone in the city to uncontrollably follow the frequency of the footsteps. Moreover, these footsteps could be described as weak. If one did not listen carefully, they would not be able to hear it. However, for some reason, such weak footsteps could clearly enter everyone's ears. At first, only a small number of people noticed the space-time tunnel in the sky, but with the sound of footsteps, almost everyone in the city could not help but look up at the space-time tunnel. Just the sound of footsteps could cause their heartbeat to accelerate. What kind of expert had come to Hanzong City? Finally, a burly man walked out of the space-time tunnel. That's right. It was Long Chun. Hanzong City. Dong Qin, you won't blame me for being nosy, right? Glancing at Hanzong City, Long Chun murmured in his heart, and then a smile appeared on his face. The god's domain opened again. Boom! The next moment, the god's domain dissipated in the void and merged with heaven and earth. It seems like he has ill intentions. The members of the Death God Army who were hiding in the dark felt the fluctuation of the heaven and earth law, and their faces suddenly sank. No longer hiding their whereabouts, they shouted, "Who are you? What do you want?" Long Chun looked at the members of the Death God Army. There were a total of more than a dozen people. You guys really put in a lot of effort. Seeing that you guys are working so hard, I'll set you free. Long Chun smiled faintly. Boundless power of the natural order suddenly surged out in this world. What? He can actually control the power of the heaven and earth law? The faces of the members of the Death God Army suddenly changed. What kind of amazing means was this? This was too ridiculous. Could this person be the guardian of the divine kingdom? However, they had never heard of any guardians in the divine kingdom. Destroy them all. Long Chan was like a monarch, announcing the end of Han Zongqing. As his voice fell, endless rule power flooded the city below. Don't be impudent. The members of the Death God army roared, wanting to activate their ultimate intent. However, in the next moment, their bodies stiffened, and their faces were filled with bewilderment. What's going on? Why couldn't he unlock the ultimate profound? It was as if the power of laws in his body had been sealed by a mysterious power. They tried again, but they still couldn't open it. What's going on? Run. Quickly inform His Majesty and ask him to bring reinforcements. The dozen or so members were terrified. They looked at the crowd around them, who were also in a state of panic, and roared. This world has already become my domain. As long as you are in my domain, no one will be able to escape, Long Chan said faintly. His voice wasn't very loud, but it reverberated in everyone's mind, making them feel despair. The next moment, a scene that truly made them despair appeared. A surge of rule force emerged around each of them. These rule energies were like numerous large invisible hands, firmly binding them. Not to mention escaping, they could not even move a single step. Why is this happening? What the hell did he do? More than a dozen members of the Death God army had reached the point where they were scared out of their wits. Even the Emperor couldn't do such a thing. Who the hell is this person? No. In the face of the frenzied nomological power, everyone in the city couldn't help but roar in despair. However, it was meaningless. The rule power mercilessly killed. Cries of agony echoed in the sky. The current Han Zongqing was like a hell on earth. About a dozen breaths passed. Everything finally came to an end. At this time, Han Zongqing was in tatters and a mess. On the ground, blood flowed like a sea of blood. It was a shocking sight. Sigh. Looking at this scene, Long Chan sighed deeply. This was really not his intention. Such a cruel and bloody scene was not what he wanted to see. But there were some things that he had to do. Because now, if he didn't do this, more people might die in the future. I hope this is the last massacre. He sighed. With a wave of his hand, the blood on the ground surged into the sky one by one, gradually condensing into lines of big words in the void. In the end, he glanced at these big words and turned to leave. What? Han Zongqing was massacred? Imperial Mountain. Princess Yuxian, Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, Inner Demons, and Lu Jijin also received this news very quickly. Their faces were full of horror. How long had it been? Han Zongqing was also massacred. No, I don't believe it. Dong Hanzong regained his senses and immediately roared, rushing to Han Zongqing. Princess Yuxian, Inner Demons, Lu Jijin, and Dong Qingyuan also quickly followed. When the five of them arrived in the sky above Han Zongqing, the ground that was riddled with holes, the blood, and the bones on the ground immediately entered their sight. At this moment, Han Zongqing was simply like an azure hell, sending chills down their spines. Who is it? Who is it? Dong Hanzong looked at this scene in disbelief, and a monstrous murderous aura rushed out of his body. The city was really massacred. There was nothing left. The family business that he had worked so hard to build for many years was all gone in an instant. This kind of feeling almost made him collapse. Look! The Inner Demons pointed to the void above, and his pupils contracted tightly. Lu Jijin, Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, and Princess Yuxian all looked up and immediately saw the bloody words left by Long Chan. I originally didn't have the intention to kill indiscriminately, but the Divine Kingdom is too tyrannical. If you know your wrongs, I am willing to negotiate with you to create peace and prosperity between the two worlds. But if you insist on being stubborn, I can only stop killing with killing, and let the people of the Divine Kingdom be plunged into misery and suffering. Rivers of blood will flow. Every word was filled with a terrifying domineering aura. This was what Long Chan had left behind. He was not a lunatic, nor was he a cold-blooded person. Seeing so many people die in his hands, he really couldn't bear it. Negotiate? Dream on. If I don't kill you, I'm not human. Dong Hanzong roared hysterically. Dong Qingyuan and Princess Yuxian clenched their hands tightly, and their eyes were filled with anger and murderous intent. After killing the 9 great commanders and massacring Han Zhongqing, he still wanted to negotiate with them? Don't be naive. This blood feud was irreconcilable. Boom! Suddenly, another powerful aura descended. This was a golden figure, and his entire body exuded an emperor's aura that made people submit to him. That's right. The emperor had arrived in person. Father, Your Majesty, Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, and Princess Yuxian immediately flew to the emperor's side. The emperor raised his hand, signaling the three to calm down, and then looked at the bloody words left by Long Chan. Your Majesty, the words 2 worlds clearly refer to the Sky Cloud realm and our divine kingdom. The murderer must be Qin Feiyang. Even if it's not Qin Feiyang, it must be his accomplice. Dong Qingyuan said in a deep voice, if it's really Qin Feiyang, it's actually a good thing for us. The emperor said, What? A good thing? Dong Qingyuan and the other 2 looked at the emperor in shock. Lu Zhejin and the inner demons were also surprised by the emperor's words. Killing the 9 great commanders and massacring Han Zhongqing, and the speed was so fast that we couldn't even react. Think about how terrifying such means are. If this person is really Qin Feiyang's accomplice, do you know that not only will we have to face a powerful opponent like Qin Feiyang in the future, but we will also have to face an enemy that may be even more terrifying than Qin Feiyang? The emperor said in a deep voice. Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong and Princess Yuxian's eyes trembled when they heard this. Hearing the emperor's words, it was indeed reasonable. If it was really Qin Feiyang, the situation in the future would still be the same as before. They just needed to find a way to kill Qin Feiyang. But if the murderer was Qin Feiyang's accomplice, then they would have another terrifying enemy in the future. That was because Han Zhongqing, who had instantly killed 9 great commanders and massacred millions of people in such a short period of time, must possess heaven-defying strength to accomplish such a feat. This person might not be inferior to Qin Feiyang, or he might be even more terrifying than Qin Feiyang. Where are the members of the Death God army guarding Han Zhongqing? The emperor asked. Dong Qingyuan sighed and said, I'm afraid something bad has happened to them. Let me see if there are any other creatures nearby. If there are, they should have witnessed the entire process of this person massacring Han Zhongqing with their own eyes. The inner demon released its divine sense, which spread out in all directions. Soon, his eyes lit up. As he waved his hand, the 4 young men and women struggled and flew over uncontrollably. The emperor and the others also looked at the 4 people. The 4 people's faces were pale and they trembled. That was because they were the witnesses. Don't be afraid. These 2 are the emperor of the Central Dynasty and Princess Yuxian. The inner demons comforted them. Greetings, Your Majesty, Your Highness. The 4 people quickly knelt in the void. Did you see that person commit the murder? Princess Yuxian asked. Yes. At that time we happened to be training in the mountains outside the city. When we heard the commotion, we immediately rushed over to check. But we didn't expect to see this scene. It's too terrifying. In just a dozen breaths he massacred everyone. Even the members of the Death God army did not have any power to fight back. He's a devil, the 4 people said intermittently. Their bodies were trembling non-stop, and their pupils were dilated. They seemed to be scared out of their wits. Chapter 4487. Unable to fight back at all? Princess Yuxian frowned. It seemed like it was another instant kill. What kind of method did this person use? The inner demons asked. How did he do it? We don't know either. We have never seen that kind of method before. However, he seems to be able to control the power of laws, and he also has the ability to seal the law, preventing us from activating the ultimate profound. The 4 of them trembled as they spoke. Their scalps went numb when they thought of those methods. What? Controlling the power of laws. Sealing the law. Isn't sealing the law Dong Xian's ability? It seems like only her sealed god domain can do that. The few of them were in disbelief. Lu Zhejin's eyes flashed slightly as he looked at the 4 of them and said, Tell me the details of what happened. Okay. The 4 of them nodded as they recalled what happened and described the situation in detail. Activating a barrier. Merging with heaven and earth. I have never heard of this before. Everyone fell into deep thought. Could it be Long Chen's god domain? The inner demon suddenly sent a message. God domain. Lu Jijin was slightly taken aback as he thought to himself, the ability is indeed similar, but I remember that his god domain can't control the power of laws. The benefits are also the same. The inner demons mumbled. Apart from Long Chan, who else could have such a method? Lu Jijin thought to himself, I won't think about it if I don't understand. I'll find a chance to ask my younger cousin later. Although we can't confirm this person's identity, we can be sure that he's not from the Central Dynasty. He's most likely an accomplice of Qin Feiyang. Dong Qingyuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Princess Yuxian nodded. From the bloody words left behind, they could determine the other party's position. The emperor raised his head and looked at the bloody words again. His eyes flashed with killing intent as he said coldly, this is not a negotiation but a provocation. We must find them as soon as possible and kill them all. As his voice fell, the emperor waved his hand, and a vast emperor's aura surged out from his body and rushed toward the bloody words. I accept your challenge. Boom! With a loud bang, all the bloody words were annihilated on the spot. In the distance, Long Chan stood at the edge of a cliff and witnessed this scene with his own eyes. That was right. He did not leave. He wanted to see the emperor and the others' decision. Judging from the emperor's behavior, the so-called peace talks would never happen. Then let's slowly wait and see. After muttering to himself, Long Chan turned around and left silently. At the same time, Lu Jijin seemed to have sensed something and looked towards the edge of the cliff with a trace of doubt in his eyes. What is it? The inner demons were suspicious. It feels like someone is watching us? Lu Jijin mumbled. Someone's there. The inner demons weren't the only ones who were surprised. The king and the others followed Lu Jijin's gaze, but they saw nothing. Impossible. Just now I used my divine sense to scan the area. Apart from these 4 people, there is no one else within a radius of several 100 million kilometers. The inner demons looked at Lu Jijin. Lu Jijin thought for a moment and said with a smile, maybe it's just my imagination. What did you say? Han Zongqing was also massacred? Not a single person survived. It can't be. Who the hell is this person? First it was the family of the 9 great commanders, then the 9 great commanders themselves, and now Han Zongqing. Why do I feel like this person is deliberately taking revenge? As soon as the news of Han Zongqing being massacred spread out, it immediately set off a huge storm. Everyone was in danger. Everyone was terrified. They were afraid that the next moment the place where they were would also be massacred. Flying Dragon City. City Lord's Mansion. Back Mountain. Father, mother, a beautiful woman in her 30s hurriedly ran into the back mountain and rushed towards a small courtyard. In the courtyard, there were 2 old people, a man and a woman. Both of them had white hair and a sorrowful expression. They were Dong Qin's biological grandfather and grandmother. Yulan. When the 2 of them heard Dong Yulan's voice, they couldn't help but look up. Seeing Dong Yulan's happy expression, a trace of suspicion arose in their hearts. What was so happy about? Father, mother. Good news. Dong Yulan landed in the courtyard, panting, and looked at the 2 elders and said. The 2 of them looked at each other and asked curiously, what good news? Not long ago, the 9 great commanders of the Death God army all died at the entrance of Imperial Capital Mountain. Han Zongqing also suffered a devastating blow. Not a single person survived. Dong Yulan said. What? The 2 of them suddenly stood up, their faces full of shock. They're all dead. Now, only the emperor, Dong Hanzong, and Dong Qingyuan are left. Dong Yulan clenched her hands. She hated these people to the bone. Not only did they kill her husband, but they also wanted to murder her. If it weren't for Lu Yunfeng and his brother, she was afraid that she would have been killed by Dong Hanzong and the others. Yulan, don't talk nonsense. We know that you hate them very much now. You can kill Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong, but you can't do anything to the emperor. The 2 of them hurriedly said. The emperor was not only the highest authority of the Central Dynasty, but also the son of the ruler of the Divine Kingdom. If they dared to do anything to him, they would be courting death. Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to murder the emperor. Dong Yulan comforted. That's good. The 2 of them heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that Dong Yulan would be blinded by hatred. This time, was it Qiner who killed the 9 commanders and massacred Han Zhongqing? The two of them asked with concern. No. This time it was a man who did it. Dong Yulan shook her head, pondered for a while, and said with some worry, however, I can faintly feel that it should be related to Qiner. Isn't that good? Qiner has such a powerful friend. Whether it's for her or for our entire family, it's a good thing. Why are you still a little worried? The two of them looked at Dong Yulan in confusion. Because the worry on Dong Yulan's face was too obvious, it was hard not to notice. Father, mother, you may not know, but this person left a few lines of blood for the emperor and the others after massacring Han Zhongqing. It mentioned the 2 realms. According to the analysis of the emperor and the others, the 2 realms refer to the Sky Cloud realm and our divine kingdom. In other words, this person is from the Sky Cloud realm, which means he is an accomplice of Qin Feiyang and the others. If this is really related to Qiner, think about it. Doesn't this mean that Qiner is colluding with Qin Feiyang and the others? Dong Yulan said in a deep voice. When the two of them heard this, their expressions changed drastically. If the emperor knew that Qiner was colluding with Qin Feiyang and the others, it would not be as simple as a punishment, but the whole family would be exterminated. This consequence was not something that a direct family like theirs could bear. That's why I'm worried. Moreover, Qiner was captured by Qin Feiyang and the others in the 4 great continents. Now, Qin Feiyang and the others have entered the central dynasty, and Qiner appeared with them. Moreover, she appeared in front of me unharmed. The timing is also very coincidental. She appeared not long after her father was killed. Is there no problem with this? Dong Yulan was worried. At this time there is something strange. The two of them nodded. With the means of Qin Feiyang and the others, it was impossible for them to let any enemy go easily. And how did their granddaughter escape from the hands of these people? The most important thing was, now Dong Qin, who had escaped from the evil hands, did not dare to return to the Flying Dragon City. Father, mother, Dong Yulan looked at the two of them seriously and said in a deep voice, if Qiner is really colluding with Qin Feiyang and the others, what do you think we should do? This is a serious crime. The two of them looked dignified. Dong Yulan took a deep breath and looked at the two of them, saying, do you want to hear my thoughts? Go ahead. The two of them held their breath. Qiner's father's death, although he is partly responsible for it, the main responsibility is still on Dong Qingyuan and the others, especially the emperor. He clearly knows that Dong Qingyuan and the others are the real culprits, but he sided with them and made Dong Cha their scapegoat. I have never been able to let go of this matter in my heart. If Qiner is really colluding with Qin Feiyang and the others, I think it must be because she wants to avenge her father, and now Dong Hanzong and the 9 commanders have indeed paid the price. So I think we should support her. Dong Yulan said. That's right. No matter what she does, she will always be our granddaughter. The 2 old men did not hesitate at all and nodded with firm eyes. Thank you, father, mother. However, in the face of the emperor's power, we can't do nothing. Otherwise, when Qiner's matter is exposed one day, our family will be implicated. Dong Yulan said. The two of them looked at the daughter-in-law in front of them, their eyes full of gratification. Dong Cha died. This daughter-in-law not only did not abandon them, but also took on everything by herself. Yulan, in the future, do whatever you want to do. You don't have to ask us for everything. We will support you. In addition, if you don't find it tiring, you can take over the Flying Dragon City in the future and become the head of our family, the two of them said. Take over the Flying Dragon City? Dong Yulan was stunned and quickly waved her hand. How can I do that? I'm just a woman and I married here. I'm just an outsider. When have we ever treated you as an outsider? Although you married here, in our eyes, you have always been our biological daughter. Moreover, who said that a woman can't be the head of the family? Your ability is not inferior to that unfilial son of ours. No, you are stronger than him. Because if it were you, you would definitely not get involved in the dispute between Dong Qingyuan and Lu Yunfeng, the two of them said. But the family may not agree. Especially those elders who have mastered the will of the heavens. Dong Yulan was a little hesitant. With us supporting you, what are you afraid of? Moreover, those elders who have mastered the will of the heavens are now in the 10th division of the Death God army. The remaining elders have no right to speak at all. Moreover, don't forget, You have two backers now. With your relationship with them, who would dare to stand up against you? The two old men laughed. These two backers were naturally the inner demons and Lu Jijin. Chapter 4488. The next morning. The news that Dong Yulan was going to inherit the city lord's position spread throughout the Flying Dragon City. At first, she was opposed by many clansmen. Some said that she was a woman and did not have the ability to manage the Flying Dragon City well. There were also people who said that Dong Yulan was not a member of their clan, and did not have the qualifications to inherit the position of patriarch and city lord. However, these voices of rejection were quickly calmed down, because on the day that Dong Yulan inherited the position of patriarch and city lord, the inner demons personally led the members of the 10th squad of the Death God Legion to congratulate the Flying Dragon City. Among these members, there were all the clan elders of the first direct family clan. They all controlled the will of the heavens, and were now members of the Death God Legion. Even they supported Dong Yulan. What else did the other clansmen dare to say? Moreover, the inner demons had personally arrived to cheer Dong Yulan up. Who would dare to oppose? It went smoothly. Dong Yulan inherited the great cause and became the first female patriarch in the history of the Flying Dragon City. The female city lord. Black Tortoise Realm. Brother Long, you really amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. In the tea garden, Qin Feiyong and Long Chen sat together, happily drinking tea. Who would have thought that with just Long Chen's strength, he would be able to destroy the 9 commanders and Han Zongqing? Furthermore, he was able to calmly escape. Unfortunately, they don't know that I did it. Long Chen shook his head and laughed. Qin Feiyong laughed. What I want is this kind of mysterious feeling, to make them live in fear every day. The corner of Long Chen's mouth twitched as he laughed bitterly. You being your enemy is truly a matter of despair. Don't talk about me, aren't you the same? Do you know that even that brat wants to kill you? Because you're already a huge threat to him. Qin Feiyong laughed. Cough cough. Long Chen coughed dryly, changed the topic and said, this time when I went to Imperial Capital Mountain, I coincidentally bumped into Princess Yuxian. What is it? Are you tempted? Do you want us to help you? Qin Feiyong snickered. Long Chen rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, can you stop trying to match them up? I just want to say that I feel threatened by this woman. I see. I thought you had taken a fancy to her. Qin Feiyong nodded in realization. He picked up his teacup and took a sip. He smiled faintly and said, as the beloved daughter of the emperor and the granddaughter of the ruler of the divine kingdom, how could she not have some life-saving means? In that case, we still can't make a move against her? Long Chen asked. Definitely. It's not only the Moon Immortal Princess, there's also the emperor's wife. Although they're all very valuable people, it's not that simple to capture them. Qin Feiyong shook his head. This pair of mother and daughter, not to mention other things, definitely had the power of origin in their hands. Long Chen nodded in agreement. He sighed and said, although this trip successfully gave the emperor and the others a show of strength, there is also a piece of bad news. Bad news? Qin Feiyong was stunned. Yes. The divine kingdom is much stronger than the Black Tortoise realm. I can easily control the power of the rules of the Black Tortoise realm. However, when I massacred Han Zongqing, I felt that I couldn't control the power of the rules of the divine kingdom. At that time, I also tried to control the power of the origin of the divine kingdom, but I couldn't do it. I'm afraid that even if I can slightly interfere, I'll have to use all my strength. Long Chen's face was a little disappointed. Although the realm of God had evolved again, it wasn't much of a threat to the divine kingdom. This isn't really bad news. After all, it's within my expectations. When Long Chen went to the Imperial Capital Mountain, he had been thinking about this problem. Although Long Chen could control the power of the rules of the Black Tortoise realm and interfere with the power of the origin of the Black Tortoise realm, he was still a little lacking when facing the divine kingdom, which was stronger than the Black Tortoise realm. But the good thing is that although the time I can control the power of rules is very short, it can still play a big role in critical moments. Long Chen smiled slightly. The disappointment on his face was instantly swept away. There was no need to worry about this kind of thing. Because it was meaningless to worry about this kind of thing. It was better to work hard and cultivate hard to bring the realm of God to a higher level. To be honest, I want to spar with you now. Qin Feiyong smiled. Then let's not. Let us continue to be in awe of each other. Long Chen chuckled. That's right. Although Long Chen's realm of God had evolved, Long Chen was still wary of Qin Feiyong in his heart. Similarly, seeing how Long Chen had become so strong, Qin Feiyong was also wary in his heart. In other words, Long Chen did not want to break the current balance. This was because once there was a victor in the sparring session, the loser might feel conflicted in his heart. At that time, it might affect the feelings and trust between the two parties. All right. Qin Feiyong nodded. Soon, Qin Feiyong suddenly received a message from Lu Jijin. After a series of inquiries, it was really Long Chen's masterpiece. Lu Jijin sighed for a long time before finally saying a sentence. As expected of the son of the ice dragon, his terrifying talent made people afraid. Time flew by. Another half a year passed. Boom! On this day, a powerful force of nothingness rushed out from the ancient castle. After spending more than a year, Qin Feiyong finally grasped the ultimate meaning of the law of nothingness. More than a year outside was almost 2 million years in the Black Tortoise realm. It was really a terrifying number. However, it was also worth rejoicing, because if there was no inheritance, the time needed would be even longer. It could be tens of millions of years or hundreds of millions of years, or even his entire life. He might not be able to comprehend an ultimate meaning. Another 2 months passed. The white-eyed wolf had also successfully grasped the seventh ultimate meaning of the strongest law. The seventh ultimate meaning he had fused was the law of light and darkness. Because the law of light and darkness was extremely rare, it could satisfy his desire to go out and show off. In the next half a year, there were many people who had grasped the will of the heavenly Tao. First, it was the demon ancestor Mu Tianyang Dongzhengyang Mu Qing, followed by the demon dragon Mermaid Princess Fire Lotus and so on. Five-clawed golden dragon Big Black Wolf, Blood Kirin, White Jade Kirin and so on. There was also Pei Tianhong, Wang Chong Yuan, the 6,000 secret guards, Xia Yuan and the others. They were all working hard. However, even though they had grasped the will of the heavenly Tao, the demon ancestor and the others did not relax. They continued to comprehend the laws and fused the inheritance, because they all knew that in the face of the powerful divine kingdom, only by constantly working hard and becoming stronger would they have a chance to defeat them. It had been 2 years since Qin Feiyong and the others had entered the Central Dynasty. In 2 years, not only had Qin Feiyong and the others' strength skyrocketed, but the disciples of the sacred grounds and sacred halls were also undergoing earth-shattering changes. 2 years outside was more than 3 million years in the Black Tortoise world. One could imagine how long 3 million years was for the disciples of the sacred grounds who had just stepped into the Dominator realm. After such a long time, coupled with their hard work, their strength was definitely not the same as before. There were even many disciples of the sacred halls who had successfully fused 1 or 2 ultimate meanings of the strongest law. Of course, the Sea Lion Demon King and Ji Xiaowu outside were also growing stronger. Especially Ji Xiaowu. Even though he was managing the affairs of the city while comprehending the laws and fusing the inheritance, he had already successfully fused 1 ultimate meaning. As for the Sea Lion Demon King, who was wholeheartedly in seclusion, he was already fusing the second inheritance like Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. Boom! On a certain evening, Thousand Demons Valley, a powerful aura erupted like a volcano. Following closely, above the firmament, the wind and clouds surged as blood-colored tribulation clouds instantly enveloped the entire sky. What's going on? This seems to be a heavenly tribulation? What seems to be? This is a heavenly tribulation. How can someone undergo a heavenly tribulation in the Thousand Demons Valley? The Thousand Demons Valley is filled with evil energy. Even if it's a powerhouse with the heavenly Tao will, they can only last for half an hour at most. Could it be that this is a heavenly tribulation of some divine item? For example, a Dominator divine weapon. The aura of the heavenly tribulation was too powerful. The creatures near the Thousand Demons Valley immediately noticed it, and their expressions were filled with surprise. What? A heavenly tribulation appeared above the Thousand Demons Valley? How is this possible? Not to mention ordinary creatures, even people like the Emperor and Dongqing were in disbelief when they heard this news. Thousand Demons Valley? Little cousin seems to have said that madman is now in the Thousand Demons Valley. Could this heavenly tribulation be related to him? Lu Jijin was secretly surprised. If that's the case, then we're in big trouble. The inner demon's heart sank. Madman's heavenly tribulation would definitely expose his aura. At that time, the people of the Death God army would definitely go to the Thousand Demons Valley to encircle and annihilate him. He had to face the heavenly tribulation on one hand and the threat of the Death God army on the other. Even if Madman could defy the heavens, he would probably not be able to escape death. What was going on? The ultimate profound meaning that Madman mastered was not comprehended by himself. How could he go through the heavenly tribulation? Wasn't this causing trouble? The heavenly tribulation is not something that Madman can control. It's useless to blame him. Lu Jijin shook his head. Lu Yunfeng, Lu Yuntian, gather at the imperial palace immediately. Suddenly, Dong Qingyuan's voice sounded above the imperial capital mountain. The inner demons and Lu Yuntian looked at each other. There was no doubt that Dong Qingyuan must have summoned them to go to the Thousand Demons Valley. Lu Jijin's eyes flashed as he looked at the inner demons and said, "Go outside and keep an eye on them. I'll send a message to my little cousin. I'm afraid he doesn't know about this yet." Okay. The inner demons nodded and walked out of the courtyard, scanning the surroundings. This was to prevent someone from spying on them. Of course, this kind of thing was not very likely now. After all, they were now the commander and deputy commander of the 10th team, and were deeply trusted by the emperor. Who would dare to spy on them? However, just in case, it was never wrong to be careful. No way. A heavenly tribulation appeared in the Thousand Demons Valley? A moment later, Qin Feiyang, who was sitting cross-legged in the cultivation room, suddenly stood up and looked at Lu Jijin in surprise. Looking at your reaction, Madman is still in the Thousand Demons Valley, and the heavenly tribulation might be caused by him. Lu Jijin sighed. Originally, he thought that Madman might have already left the Thousand Demons Valley, and the sudden appearance of the heavenly tribulation had nothing to do with him. But now it seemed that this luck had been erased. Chapter 4489. Senior brother has indeed been in the Thousand Devil Valley, but I don't know if the heavenly tribulation has anything to do with him. Qin Feiyang frowned. Why would there be a heavenly tribulation all of a sudden? Could it be that senior brother relied on his own ability to comprehend an ultimate profundity? But thinking about it, it was impossible. Now, what ultimate profound inheritance didn't they have? With senior brother Crazy's personality, it was impossible for him to comprehend it himself. Wait, could it be an epiphany? Because if it was an epiphany, this kind of change would be uncontrollable. Lu Jijin said in a deep voice, "Hurry up and think of a way, because Dong Qingyuan has already gathered us and is preparing to go to the Thousand Devil Valley. I'll send a message to senior brother now, and tell him to leave the Thousand Devil Valley quickly." Qin Feiyang's face sank slightly and said, "Send a message?" Lu Jijin was slightly stunned and speechless. There are rules in the Thousand Devil Valley that restrict communication. Even if Long Chen's God's domain can now control the rules, he still needs to enter the Thousand Devil Valley. Heard of it? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. That's it for now. Hurry up and think of a way. Although the Thousand Devil Valley is filled with evil power and can stop us from entering, it can't stop the origin power in the hands of the emperors. After Lu Jijin finished speaking, he turned off the sound transmission godstone and walked out of the attic. He exchanged a glance with the inner demons and rushed towards the imperial palace like lightning. At the same time, Black Tortoise Realm. How could this be? Qin Feiyang clenched his hands and shouted, "White-eyed wolf, Long Chun, demon ancestor, Mu Tianyang Mu Qing, Dong Zhengyang Dong Qin, it's urgent, come to me quickly." Immediately, he walked out of the castle and stood in front of the castle gate, his face full of worry. Extremely urgent? What's the situation? Not only White-eyed wolf and the others, even the other people in seclusion were awakened by Qin Feiyang's voice. Whoosh! Almost at the same time, White-eyed wolf and the others landed in front of the castle, including Long Qin. What's so urgent? The White-eyed wolf was suspicious. The sudden appearance of the heavenly tribulation in the Myriad Demons Valley might have something to do with senior brother. Previously, big cousin sent me a message saying that Dong Qingyuan has already gathered everyone and is preparing to head to the Myriad Demons Valley. Let's hurry over and have a look. But for now we don't have to all go out. White-eyed wolf Long Chun and I will go out. Mu Qing, can I trouble you to use your all-seeing eye to help me take a look at my senior martial brother's current situation, as well as the movements of Dong Qingyuan and the others? Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. All right. Mu Qing nodded. Qin Feiyong looked at the crowd, took a deep breath and said, everyone, if the person who is going through the tribulation is really my senior brother, we will definitely face a fierce battle. Please be fully prepared and help me with all your strength. Don't worry. Now that we have mastered the will of the heavenly path, we are not afraid of a battle. The demon ancestor smiled. Thank you. Qin Feiyong thanked him and waved his hand, leading the white-eyed wolf and Long Chun to the hall of the attic outside. The Sea Lion King, who was in seclusion, immediately opened his eyes suspiciously when he sensed the aura of the three people. Change your appearance immediately and go to the Myriad Demons Valley, Qin Feiyong said. The Sea Lion King was a little surprised. Why are we going to the Myriad Demons Valley now? And all of them look so serious. Wait, could it be that something happened to the lunatic in the Myriad Demons Valley? He quickly got up, took the phantom elixir that Qin Feiyong gave him, and threw it into his mouth. Qin Feiyong, the white-eyed wolf, and Long Chun also took a phantom elixir one after another. As soon as the four of them walked out of the courtyard, they saw Ji Xiaowu running over, panting. Seeing Qin Feiyong and the others coming out, he was stunned at first, then immediately said, Qin Dage, I received a message that a heavenly tribulation suddenly appeared in the Myriad Demons Valley. I already know. Now we are going to the Myriad Demons Valley. Qin Feiyong said. You received the news so quickly? Ji Xiaowu was stunned. He had just received the news, but how did Qin Feiyong and the others get the news before him? You can't help with this kind of thing, so don't join in the fun. Stay in Green Wind City and cultivate. After Qin Feiyong said, he rushed out of the city lord mansion like lightning and rushed toward the city gate. The white-eyed wolf, Long Chun, and the Sea Lion King followed closely. Their eyes were quite dignified. As soon as they left the city, 5 figures rose from the city and opened the enchantment in the sky. These 5 people were all wearing the Death God Army's uniform. Obviously, they were the members of the Death God Army lurking in Green Wind City. After the 5 of them left the enchantment, they directly opened a space-time tunnel and ran in without looking back. They actually left Green Wind City? Could it be that little madman's whereabouts in the Myriad Demons Valley have been exposed? The white-eyed wolf frowned. It's possible. And now, we can't directly land at the entrance of the Myriad Demons Valley. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he opened a space-time tunnel. Now, there must be members of the Death God Army around the Myriad Demons Valley. If they directly landed at the entrance of the Myriad Demons Valley, it may cause unnecessary trouble. The next moment, they appeared in the sky above a mountain range. This place was tens of thousands of miles away from the Myriad Demons Valley. Tens of thousands of miles for the current them was nothing. It was just a matter of a few steps. In the void in front, there were already many people gathered at this time. There were humans and beasts. Their cultivation was uneven. Obviously, they all heard the news and came to watch the show. Looking at the sky above the Myriad Demons Valley, it was indeed covered with blood clouds and thunder roaring. The power of the heavenly tribulation was rolling in all directions. This doesn't seem to be an ordinary heavenly tribulation. The white-eyed wolf was surprised. The blood clouds covered the entire sky, as if it had turned into a sea of blood. Streaks of blood-colored thunder force, like giant pythons, shuttled through the clouds. The terrifying aura it emitted was comparable to the time when Qin Feiyong comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death. Now we can no longer maintain this face because once we make a move, our identity as Green Wind City's foreign elders will be exposed, Long Chun secretly said. And, no matter what, the identity of Green Wind City's foreign elders must be kept a secret. Otherwise, Ji Xiaowu will definitely be tortured. Since we have to make a move sooner or later, we might as well restore our true appearance, Qin Feiyong said. Okay. Long Chun and the white-eyed wolf nodded. Are we really going to make a move? The sea lion beast king was a little frightened because in front of the crowd, there were many figures of the death god army. In the sky, there were still a large number of death god army members rushing over. In other words, if they made a move later, they would have to face the entire death god army. Look at how useless you are. At the very least, you've grasped 7 ultimate mysteries. The white-eyed wolf's face darkened. Facing the entire death god army, is there a difference between 6 and 7? The sea lion beast king smiled bitterly. Let's go. Let's go to the forest below, activate the concealment technique, and take a closer look. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and led the 3 into the forest below. Seeing that there was no one around, he restored his true appearance and activated the concealment technique, hiding in the void, and flew towards the myriad demons valley ahead. Qin Feiyong, the person undergoing the heavenly tribulation, is indeed a lunatic. Dong Qingyuan has also ordered the members of the Death God army lurking in various cities to come to the Myriad Demons Valley. Mu Qing's voice rang in Qin Feiyong's mind. What about the Emperor? Qin Feiyong asked. The Emperor is also here. In addition, the Dragon God and Kuan Peng have also brought the Monster Kings and Beast Kings to support. This time it's not a joke. In other words, we are about to face the entire Central Dynasty. Mu Qing said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyong's face was solemn. Even the Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region and Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain range had come. Wait. The Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region shouldn't be able to come in a short time. Suddenly Qin Feiyong frowned and asked. Because there were rules in the Kuanpeng Sea region, even if he gave the order immediately, it would take at least 10 days to half a month to arrive. No. Kuan Peng has already asked the 9 Monster Kings to lead all the Monster Kings to guard the coastline of the Kuanpeng Sea region. They will immediately come to the Myriad Demons Valley. Mu Qing transmitted her voice. Hearing this, Qin Feiyong's eyes couldn't help but become gloomier. What's wrong? White-eyed Wolf looked at him suspiciously. Mu Qing told me that not only the Death God army, but also the Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region, and Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain range are on their way. Qin Feiyong thought. Hearing this, White-eyed Wolf's and Long Chen's faces instantly became gloomy. The battle that was about to break out was probably the most difficult battle they had ever fought since they entered the Divine Kingdom. Especially the Sea Lion Monster King, who was trembling in fear. If it weren't for the White-eyed Wolf, he would have turned around and fled. Chapter 4491. The Emperor, Dong Qingyuan, and the Death God army were enough to make them suffer. Now the Monster Kings and Beast Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region and the Sky Dragon Mountain range had all come to join in the fun. Wasn't this making things worse? Although many Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region had been killed by Qin Feiyong and the others, these losses were nothing for the entire Kuanpeng Sea region. Not to mention the Sky Dragon Mountain range. It was in its peak state. Because Qin Feiyong and the others had not fought with the Sky Dragon Mountain range since they came to the Central Dynasty. There were 10,000 Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region, and the Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain range must be no less than that. In other words, the Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region and the Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain range were equivalent to a Death God army. The road ahead was bleak. We can't ignore the life and death of Little Crazy. We have to bite the bullet. Little Qin Zi, if a battle really breaks out later, we will do our best to buy time for you to open the eye of heaven and copy the ultimate profound. The White-eyed Wolf said in a deep voice. It's useless. If the Emperor didn't come, we might still be able to fight our way out. But now that the Emperor has come in person and he has the origin energy in his hands, I'm afraid we only have hope if the mysterious young man comes. Qin Feiyong shook his head. He didn't care too much about the others, but the origin energy in the Emperor's hands. If, in the eyes of others, his 3,000 incarnations, the laws of life and death, and the dual wills of the heavenly Daos were a chasm that could never be crossed, an existence that could never be defeated. But in his eyes, the origin energy of the Divine Kingdom was a mountain that pressed down on his head. The White-eyed Wolf's face became gloomier after hearing this. Soon, they entered the crowd and quietly approached the Thousand Demons Valley. However, after a while they stopped and looked at the void in front of them, frowning. There were figures standing in the void in front of them. These people stood in a row surrounding the Thousand Demons Valley, and at the same time blocking the people behind them. They were the members of the Death God army, staring at the Thousand Demons Valley with a murderous look. Crack! Boom! In the sky, the aura of the heavenly tribulation became more and more terrifying. The sound of thunder was deafening. The blood-red clouds rolled in the sky like a sea of blood. At first glance, it was as if a demon king had been born. Even though they were still some distance away from the Myriad Demons Valley, Qin Feiyang and the others, as well as those who had come to join in the fun, could feel a deadly sense of crisis. Are we going to barge in or stay outside and wait for an opportunity? Long Chen asked. Even a madman wouldn't be able to survive such a terrifying heavenly tribulation. After all, when Qin Feiyang had comprehended the ultimate profundity of the laws of life and death, it had been with the help of the heaven-devouring beast that he had succeeded in transcending his tribulation. Stay outside and wait for an opportunity, because now they must think that we are also in the Myriad Demons Valley. At that time we can catch them off guard from behind. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. As long as they succeeded, they would be able to wipe out at least half of the Central Dynasty's forces. Long Chen was stunned and asked suspiciously, "Aren't you worried about the madman's safety? He is no longer the same as before." This heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang raised his head and looked at the rolling tribulation clouds and lightning in the sky. "I believe that with senior brother's current strength, it won't be a problem for him to transcend his tribulation alone." Although he had succeeded in transcending his tribulation with the help of the heaven-devouring beast, he hadn't grasped the will of the heavens at that time. In other words, at that time he wasn't even 1% of his current strength. Similarly, at that time the madman had just merged with the root of all evil. He didn't have the true body of all evil, nor the sword of all evil. Moreover, the madman had accumulated a large amount of evil energy in the Black Tortoise realm. Once this evil energy erupted, it would unleash a destructive power. Therefore, as their strength grew, the heavenly tribulation didn't pose much of a threat to them. Of course, no threat didn't mean no danger. If you didn't go all out during the tribulation, you would still die under the heavenly tribulation. Swish! As the space-time tunnels appeared, more and more members of the Death God army appeared. Not only had they surrounded the entrance, but they had also surrounded the entire Myriad Devil's Valley from all directions. In other words, now, the entire Myriad Demons Valley was surrounded. No matter which direction they went, they couldn't escape. They could only fight their way out. Wang! Suddenly, another space-time tunnel opened. Several figures walked out one after another. The leader was the Emperor of the Central Dynasty. Next were Princess Yuxian, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, the Inner Demons, and Lu Zhejin. His Majesty, Princess Yuxian, actually came personally, and Dong Qingyuan. He is the commander of the Death God army. He has great power. But the most terrifying people are actually Dong Hanzong, Lu Yunfeng, and Lu Yuntian. Those three youngsters all possess strength that is not inferior to Qin Feiyang and the others, especially Lu Yuntian. He is the same as Qin Feiyang. He has also comprehended the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death and grasped two wills of the heavens. He also has the Demon King true body that can compete with the 3,000 incarnations. I estimate that his strength is probably the strongest of the three. Everyone whispered in each other's ears. Their eyes were filled with respect. A middle-aged bearded man in black quickly walked in front of them and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, His Majesty, Princess Yuxian, Legion Commander, Deputy Legion Commander, and the two commanders." Deputy Legion Commander Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. The Emperor, Princess Yuxian, Dong Qingyuan, the Inner Demons, and Lu Zhejin's identity naturally didn't need to be said. But who the hell was this Deputy Legion Commander? They had never heard of it. Could it be Dong Hanzong? "What's the situation?" Dong Hanzong asked. The bearded man said, "Deputy Legion Commander, it is indeed Madman Mo who is undergoing the tribulation in the Myriad Demons Valley. It really is him. When did he become the Deputy Legion Commander?" As expected, it's different to have a good relationship with Dong Qingyuan. Qin Feiyang and the others mumbled. The Deputy Legion Commander's position in the Central Dynasty was even higher than the Inner Demons and Lu Zhejin. It was second only to the emperor and Dong Qingyuan. For Dong Hanzong, it was considered to be outstanding and bring glory to his ancestors. After all, he was only a collateral family member. It was not easy for him to get to this point. But they all knew that Dong Hanzong's ambition was not just to be the deputy legion commander. Perhaps one day in the future, even Dong Qingyuan, the legion commander, would become a stepping stone under his feet. Of course, with Dong Hanzong's strength, it was indeed not a problem for him to be the deputy legion commander. After all, in terms of strength, 10 Dongqingyun, even 100 or 1,000 Dongqingyun would not be a match for Dong Hanzong. At the same time, hearing the bearded man's words, the emperor and the others raised their heads and looked at the myriad demons valley. It is indeed Madman Mo's aura. Dong Qingyuan clenched his fists, and a ray of hatred suddenly shot out of his eyes. Dong Hanzong shook his head and said, "But I didn't sense the aura of Qin Feiyang, the golden-winged wolf king, or the sea lion demon king. Why did you mention me by name? I'm just an insignificant person, won't you forget me? Longcha and Dongqin, which one of them isn't stronger than me?" The sea lion demon king was about to cry when he heard Dong Hanzong's words. He thought that an insignificant person like him would soon be forgotten by the emperor and the others, but he did not expect that they would deliberately mention him now. What did this mean? It meant that the other party had always remembered him in their hearts. Naive. If it weren't for you, would we have been able to escape from the Kunping Sea region so easily? So, would they let a traitor like you go so easily? I'm afraid that in their hearts, their desire to kill you is even greater than ours. The white-eyed wolf snickered. You're still gloating? Isn't this all because of you? The sea lion demon king was very depressed. Why was he so stupid to mix with these people? But then again, if he had not surrendered to Qin Feiyang and the others, he would have been deprived of his ultimate arcane and suppressed in the Black Tortoise realm like the Sea Python Demon King and the other demon kings. In the sky above, Dong Qingyun looked at the Thousand Demons Valley. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and said in a deep voice, "Your Majesty, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Give the order." "No. Wait first." The emperor waved his hand. Wait for what? Dong Qingyuan was taken aback. Frenzy was in the Thousand Demons Valley, and he was in the middle of his tribulation. He had no time to fight with them, so what were they waiting for? Didn't Dong Hanzong say that he didn't sense the aura of Qin Feiyang and the others? I think they are either hiding in the Thousand Demons Valley now, or they have been hiding outside. If they are really hiding outside, think about it, when they find out that Frenzy is here, how will they react? The emperor sneered secretly. Is there a need to think about it? They will definitely come to rescue Frenzy. Dong Qingyuan transmitted his voice. That's right. As long as they come to rescue Frenzy, we can take the opportunity to kill them all. Killing intent surged in the emperor's eyes. Your Majesty is wise. Dong Qingyuan flattered him, but then his expression turned cold. He frowned and said, "What if they're hiding in the Myriad Demons Valley right now and playing tricks with us? Isn't that better? It saves us the trouble of looking for them. Looking at the formation of this person's tribulation, there must be 99. After we pass the 98, no, after the 98 tribulation, he will only have one tribulation left. The duration of one tribulation is too short, and there may be changes. How about this? After he passes the 50th tribulation, regardless of whether Qin Feiyang and the others appear or not, directly kill Frenzy." The emperor transmitted his voice. Yes. Dong Qingyuan responded respectfully, staring at the Thousand Demons Valley, and laughed sinisterly. Dong Hanzong was the same, and he sneered. I didn't expect that even the heavens are helping us. Just you wait. Today will be your doomsday. If it wasn't for this sudden tribulation, they would probably never know that Frenzy was hiding in the Thousand Demons Valley. So, if this wasn't the heavens helping them, then what was? Chapter 4492. Looking at their expressions, the inner demons and Lu Jijin looked at each other and couldn't help but frown. The murderous intent of these two towards Qin Feiyang and the others was truly intense. It seemed that they should find a chance to get rid of these two. He couldn't let the 9 great commanders stay in hell all alone, could he? Moreover, as long as these two died, They might become the army commander of the Death God army. In this way, they would be able to command the entire Death God army. Coupled with the cooperation of Qin Feiyang and the rest, wouldn't they be able to defeat all the small teams one by one? Don't talk about it. This plan that they suddenly thought of was really not bad. However, how would Qin Feiyang and the rest get through this difficult time? If they really had no choice, they could only reveal their identity and help Qin Feiyang escape. However, by then, this plan would not be able to be carried out. Mysterious young man. The two inadvertently glanced at the crowd behind them. Qin Feiyang and the rest must be hiding in the crowd at this moment. However, they wondered if that mysterious young man had received the news. After receiving the news, would he come to help? Gotcha! Accompanied by a loud sound, the first heavenly tribulation that had been brewing for a long time finally descended. Like a blood dragon, it smashed the sky and crazily struck the Thousand Demons Valley. I really didn't expect that the evolution of the all-evil true body would actually lead to a heavenly tribulation. Suddenly, a burst of laughter sounded in the Thousand Demons Valley. It was the arrogant voice of Frenzy. Frenzy! This guy, we are almost worried to death and he can still laugh. The white-eyed wolf was indignant. Pay attention to the main point. The evolution of the all-evil true body. Long Chan stared at the Thousand Demons Valley, his eyes shining. That's right. The evolution of the all-evil true body is the main point. Qin Feiyang also nodded. The all-evil true body could actually evolve again? This was really a bit unexpected. The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment and finally noticed this sentence. That's right. The evolution of the all-evil true body? What was going on this time? Although the madman's body still looked like a body of flesh and blood, it had already become the true body of all evil. In other words, it was a body of flesh and blood created by the origin of all evil using the power of evil. The all-evil sword was activated because of Frenzy's all-evil true body. Even though they were as close as brothers with the madman and knew the madman's situation like the back of their hands, they knew almost nothing about the all-evil true body, because there had never been a precedent, and there was no comparison. Therefore, they didn't know what would happen if the next evolution of the all-evil true body. What kind of new divine ability would he obtain? As long as he doesn't turn into a monster with a bloody mouth and fangs, it's fine. The white-eyed wolf laughed. The Demon King true body evolved from the power of all evil made it easy for people to associate a madman with the devil. Swish! As the madman's voice fell, a blood-red light shot into the sky and landed above the myriad demons, entering everyone's line of sight. At this moment, Frenzy's appearance was no different from before. The only difference was that the evil aura on his body was more terrifying than before. From afar it looked like a demon god was born. You actually called so many people to surround me. You guys really think highly of me. Frenzy didn't need to look to know that Myriad Demons Valley was now surrounded. Because the members of the Death God army surrounding Myriad Demons Valley didn't hide their auras at all. Dong Qingyun snorted and silently looked at Frenzy's arrogance. In any case, he couldn't be arrogant for long. Heavenly tribulation? Frenzy ignored the Emperor and the others and looked up at the roaring heavenly tribulation in the sky. What can a mere heavenly tribulation do to me? As the corner of his mouth lifted, his blood hair danced in the wind, revealing a monstrous domineering aura. Clang! The next moment, he raised his hand and grabbed at the air, and the all-evil sword immediately appeared out of thin air. Its sharpness immediately swept in all directions and surged outwards like a tide. Everywhere it went, the void shattered crazily. The mountains and rivers of Myriad Demons Valley were also collapsing. It was like a scene of doomsday. What is this? For many creatures it was the first time they saw the all-evil true body. Feeling the sharpness of the all-evil true body and the sense of danger coming from it, they all revealed a look of horror. Seal the Myriad Demons Valley, the Emperor said. Yes. Dong Qingyun nodded and roared. Seal the Myriad Demons Valley for me. The 10 small teams of the Death God army had basically all arrived. There were a total of about 88,000 people. Because there were only about 1,000 Will of Heaven powerhouses left in the 10th team. Later, Lu Jijin and the Inner Demons recruited another 1,000 people. Now there were about 3,000 people. And the first team only had 5,000 people. However, these 5,000 people had mastered all the ultimate profoundness except for the laws of life and death and the laws of light and darkness. They were the elites of the elites. With Dong Qingyuan's order, a terrifying divine aura suddenly erupted around Myriad Demons Valley. Immediately after, waves of law power emerged. These law power contained the will of heaven that could intimidate all directions. All the laws gathered together and condensed into a barrier around Myriad Demons Valley. Not only did it seal all the exits of Myriad Demons Valley, it also blocked the aura of the heavenly tribulation and the all-evil sword. Otherwise, with the power of the heavenly tribulation and the all-evil sword, they could flatten a radius of hundreds of millions of miles in minutes. At that time, who knew how many creatures would be affected? In the blink of an eye, the madman waved his hand and the all-evil sword erupted with a wave of sword chi. Like a blood-colored wave, it crazily surged into the sky and collided with the heavenly tribulation. A scene that made everyone turn pale with fright appeared. Such a terrifying heavenly tribulation was actually unable to block the sword chi of the all-evil sword, and was crushed into pieces. Damn! Even Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and Long Chun were dumbfounded. This heavenly tribulation was not weak. However, the all-evil sword was easily crushed. Not only that, the madman had yet to inject the power of all evil into the all-evil sword. Because the more power of all evil was injected into the all-evil sword, the stronger its lethality. In other words, right now, the all-evil sword was only relying on its own power. Its own power could contend against the heavenly tribulation? As expected, everything was no longer the same as before. Back then, Qin Feiyang hadn't grasped the will of the heavenly Tao, so he needed to replicate thousands upon thousands of ultimate profundities in order to successfully block one heavenly tribulation after another. And now the madman was invincible just by relying on the sword of all evil. It is indeed strong. Seeing this scene, even Princess Moon Fairy was unable to remain calm. This method was truly unheard of. The only ones that could compete with the all-evil sword were probably Lu Yuntian's Demon King True Body and Dong Hanzong's Universe Domain. Of course, and also her Divine Kingdom's origin energy. More and more people came after hearing the news. But without exception, looking at the all-evil sword in the madman's hand, they couldn't help but be dumbfounded. In the sky above the Thousand Demons Valley, other than the deafening thunder, it was dead silent. Boom! The second heavenly tribulation also fell. The madman laughed and once again slashed back. The sword chi roared in the sky, emitting an extremely terrifying fiendish aura. The second heavenly tribulation was shattered just like that. What? How is this possible? A cry of surprise sounded. The Emperor and the others raised their heads and saw that in the sky, space-time channels opened one after another, and groups of people kept pouring out. The aura they exuded was like a vast ocean, unfathomable. And the ones in the lead were the Dragon God and Kuan-Peng. There was no suspense. They were the Beast Kings of the Kuan-Peng Sea region and Sky Dragon Mountain Range, the Beast Kings. Close to 20,000. Vast and mighty, the aura was shocking. And the ones who exclaimed were the Dragon God and Kuan-Peng. Could it be that their eyes were playing tricks on them? Such a terrifying heavenly tribulation was actually shattered by this person's sword? Crack! The third heavenly tribulation also fell. Just like before, the madman directly shattered it with a sword. The terrifying heavenly tribulation was like a withered tree under his sword, unable to withstand a single blow. What kind of method is this? He's too ridiculously strong. The various monster kings and beast kings were also shocked. Facing this heavenly tribulation, as soon as they descended here, they immediately felt a fatal threat, but this madman Mo actually shattered it so effortlessly. Seeing is believing, hearing is false. This saying was not false at all. In the past, when they heard the name of the madman, they didn't think that it was a big deal. The rumors outside must have been exaggerated. Only now that they saw it with their own eyes did they know how terrifying this person was. Your Majesty, why don't you kill him? Although I don't know why he's going through the heavenly tribulation, but with such a shocking heavenly tribulation, once he succeeds, there will definitely be an earth-shattering change. This person must be killed in the cradle. Kuan-Peng and the Dragon God came back to their senses and landed in front of the Emperor, saying with a solemn expression, not to mention a group of monster kings and beast kings, Even the two of them who had a pinnacle dominator divine weapon could feel the danger brought by the heavenly tribulation. But the madman under the heavenly tribulation was relaxed and at ease. The difference in strength was instantly reflected. No rush. The heavenly tribulation will become more and more terrifying. Moreover, Qin Feiyang and the others have not appeared yet. The emperor secretly told the two of his plan. So that's how it is. The evolution of the all-evil true body. His all-evil sword is already so strong. If it evolves again, what kind of ability will it have? To be honest, they were looking forward to it. However, an enemy was an enemy after all. Disperse immediately and assist the Death God army to surround the Thousand Demons Valley. The two of them ordered. Yes, immediately. The more than 9,000 monster kings of the Kunpeng Sea region left murderously under the lead of the 9 monster emperors. The beast kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain range also rushed in all directions under the lead of the monster emperors. Did you notice that the Sky Dragon Mountain range also has 10 monster emperors? As for the beast kings, there are about 10,000 of them. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice as he glanced at the monster emperors and beast kings, his eyes flashing. They can't be underestimated. Long Chen secretly said. The Emperor Princess Yuxian Dong Qingyuan Dong Hanzong Kunpeng Dragon God. The Death God army monster kings beast kings. Moreover, the Emperor had a legendary dominator divine weapon in his hand, the Emperor's sword. Kunpeng and Dragon God also had pinnacle dominator divine weapons. As for Princess Yuxian, as the beloved daughter of the Emperor and the granddaughter of the dominator of the divine kingdom, she must have a lot of divine items in her hands. Just thinking about it made the situation worrisome. Chapter 4493. With the arrival of the Beast King of the Sky Dragon Mountain Range and the Monster King of the Kunpeng Sea region, almost all the experts of the Central Dynasty, except for the top 10 direct descendants, had arrived. At the same time, the experts of the top 10 direct descendants were also arranging the affairs of the clan and were about to rush over. Once they arrived, all the experts of the Central Dynasties will of Heavenly Tao would be present. In other words, once the battle began, the battle between Qin Feiyang and the Central Dynasty would erupt. Boom! The fifth, the sixth, one after another, the heavenly tribulation continued to fall. Without using any other means, the madman used the all-evil sword to successfully pass the 30th tribulation. It was truly heaven-defying. However, when it came to the 31st tribulation, the lethality of the all-evil sword began to weaken. When the 35th tribulation descended, the all-evil sword was no longer able to block the power of the tribulation. The blood wave-like sword chi was instantly annihilated. Haha. It seems that we don't even need to make a move. He will die under the tribulation. Seeing this scene, Dong Hanzong couldn't help but laugh. This was only the 35th tribulation and the all-evil sword couldn't withstand it. How could he succeed? Because there were still 64 tribulation behind. And the last tribulation was the sum of the previous 98 tribulation. To be honest, when Qin Feiyang was crossing the tribulation, if it wasn't for the help of the small beast, it was really unknown whether he could successfully pass the last tribulation. That's right. I'm afraid he can't even hold on to the 50th tribulation. Dong Qingyuan also nodded. If this continued, if Qin Feiyang and the others didn't make a move, this person would undoubtedly die. Pay attention. Qin Feiyang and the others may make a move at any time. As long as they appear, don't talk nonsense and directly attack. The Emperor's voice suddenly sounded in the minds of Dong Qingyuan. Dong Hanzong, Kunpeng, Dragon God, Princess Yuxian, and the inner demons. Yes, the group of people secretly responded. Little cousin, this time how are you going to break the situation? Lu Jijing glanced at the crowd and muttered secretly. Could be said that. This time the situation was even more dangerous than the last time in Hanzong City. Last time Dong Qingyuan, Princess Yuxian, the Dragon God, Kunpeng, and the Death God army's 1st to 7th teams were all absent. Moreover, at that time Dong Hanzong had also been severely injured. His physical body had been destroyed, and only his divine soul was left. But it was different this time. Everyone was in peak condition. All the small teams had also arrived. Even the Beast Kings and Demon Kings of the Kunpeng Sea region and the Sky Dragon Mountain range had come. Wang! Suddenly, More space-time passages opened. More than 3,000 people surged out. They were the will of the heavens powerhouses of the 10 great direct descendant clans. Now, all the experts of the central dynasties will of heavenly Tao were present. In total, there should be around 120,000. With such a lineup, they could kill any god or devil that stood in their way. One could imagine how dangerous the situation was for Qin Feiyang and the others. We definitely won't be able to fight them head-on. We can only kill them when they least expect it. That's why we have to endure it for now. We must not expose our whereabouts. Long Chun secretly warned. However, just as he finished speaking, he noticed the expressions of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. He couldn't help but be stunned. He thought that the two of them would be impulsive when they saw that the madman was defeated by the heavenly tribulation. But now, the two of them looked extremely calm and didn't have the slightest intention to make a move. Stop joking. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf would make a move? Definitely not. Because now, the all-evil sword was just in its initial state. In other words, the madman hadn't injected the power of all evil into it yet. Once the power of all evil was injected, the lethality of the all-evil sword would increase exponentially. Dealing with a mere heavenly tribulation would be a piece of cake. A mere heavenly tribulation? If these words were heard by the people around, their jaws would probably drop. Because in their eyes, no. Even in the eyes of the members of the Death God army, this heavenly tribulation could only be described as terrifying. It's almost over. Don't force yourself. Hurry up and die. Don't expect Qin Feiyang and the others to come and save you. All the will of heaven powerhouses in our central dynasty are here now. Even if they are hiding here, they won't dare to come out and help you. Looking at the madman who was bitterly holding on, Dong Hanzong couldn't help but sneer. The inner demons and Lu Jijin glanced at Dong Hanzong. He was really a qualified clown. Above the Thousand Demons Valley, the madman had already welcomed the 38th heavenly tribulation. At this moment, his body was covered in wounds and blood was pouring out like a waterfall. The all-evil sword was also covered in cracks and was on the verge of shattering. Suddenly, he looked up at Dong Hanzong and grinned. You want me to die so badly? Dong Hanzong raised his eyebrows. You can still smile? Pretending to be calm. Why don't we make a bet? The madman laughed. Looking at the madman's current appearance, Dong Hanzong's brows tightened. Why does he look so fearless? Let's bet on whether I can safely pass the heavenly tribulation. If I pass it safely, you'll kneel in front of me and be my obedient grandson. If I fail, I'll call you grandpa before I die. Do you dare? The madman looked at him provocatively. Childish. Dong Hanzong sneered. Was there a need to bet on a person who was going to die? You don't dare. You don't even have the guts? It seems that you're not that great. Look at yourself. There are so many eyes watching. Aren't you afraid that they'll laugh at you in the future? You don't even dare to accept the challenge of a person who's going to die? The madman continued to mock, making Dong Hanzong's face turn green and red. He looked at the members of the Death God army, the Beast Kings and the Fey Kings. These people didn't have any reaction and their eyes were fixed on the madman. However, the gazes of the living beings behind him, who had come to join in the fun, became a little unfathomable. Lu Jijin's eyes flashed. He suddenly looked at Xian Mo and smiled faintly. Brother, did you see that? This is a lesson. Don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, you might just be asking for humiliation. So who are you talking about? Dong Hanzong immediately turned around and stared at Lu Jijin. What? You want to eat people? The inner demon stepped in front of Lu Jijin and looked at Dong Hanzong with a cold light in his eyes. Dong Hanzong's face was dark. If you don't have the guts to fight, then you'd better behave. Don't act like an idiot. Others might be afraid of you, but we're not afraid at all. The inner demon sneered and looked at Lu Jijin. He nodded seriously and said, Brother, remember? Don't worry. I won't be like some idiot and ask for humiliation. Dong Hanzong clenched his fists and his knuckles cracked. If you're not convinced, then you can bet with him. Why are you glaring at us? We didn't provoke you. You're the one who provoked that madman. Anyway, don't talk if you don't have the guts. You're embarrassing yourself. The inner demon shook his head and then looked at Princess Moon Fairy with a smile. Little girl, what do you think? Little girl. Princess Moon Fairy's mouth twitched. In the entire Central Dynasty, only this guy dared to be so impudent in front of her. However, this Dong Hanzong was indeed stupid. He knew that the madman wasn't a good person, but he still went to provoke him. Sigh. His talent was indeed good, but his brain wasn't that good. He only had a few tricks up his sleeves. In terms of wisdom, this guy was nowhere near it. Seeing the inner demons calling Princess Moon Fairy so intimately and the princess not showing any disgust or rejection, Dong Hanzong's heart was filled with jealousy. Looking at the princess's eyes, which contained a hint of disdain, he was instantly enraged. Let's bet. He stared at the madman who was trying his best to resist the tribulation and roared. Even if you can withstand the first 50 tribulation, the emperor will order you to be killed, so you can't pass the tribulation. In other words, he was already confident in winning this bet. He definitely couldn't lose. The madman used all his strength and finally defeated the 39th tribulation. The 10,000 evil sword finally reached its limit and broke into pieces. The madman was in an extremely sorry state. However, as if he didn't know any of this, he turned his head to look at Dong Hanzong and laughed. It seems that I have underestimated you. Dong Hanzong smiled coldly. However, grandson, you are destined to lose to me. What's a mere tribulation? The madman looked at the sky domineeringly. A mere tribulation? He has already fallen to this point, but he is still so arrogant. He is really hopeless. The surrounding creatures were all enraged by the madman's arrogance. In their eyes, the madman was simply asking for a beating. What's going on? He has clearly reached his limit, but how can he still be so arrogant? And Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King still haven't appeared. Do they believe in the madman's ability? Or are they not in the 10,000 Demons Valley at all and don't know about the madman's tribulation? The emperor cursed silently. He couldn't help but turn his head and sweep his gaze at the crowd behind him. Right now, the void behind them could only be described as a sea of people, because there were too many. Humans, beasts, and even some sea beasts that came from afar. Not only the void behind them, but the mountains and rivers in all directions of the 10,000 Demons Valley were also filled with people. With so many people, and if Qin Feiyang and the others deliberately hid their identities and changed their appearances, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. No, they are alone. It should be impossible for them to separate. That's right. This Qin Feiyang and the Golden-Winged Wolf King must also be in the 10,000 Demons Valley. The emperor once again looked at the 10,000 Demons Valley. In fact, his analysis was very reasonable. Logically speaking, no matter who it was, as long as they were enemies of the Central Dynasty, they would definitely choose to stay together. Because if they stayed together, they could take care of each other, and wouldn't be alone in the face of the enemy. However, the emperor didn't know that Qin Feiyang and the others had never played by the rules. If you inferred according to common sense, you would suffer a great loss in the end. Boom! Crack! The 40th heavenly tribulation descended. This power was enough to instantly kill any powerhouse with heavenly will in the world. Go to hell! Dong Hanzong roared in his heart. You are already exhausted, and the 10,000 demon sword is broken. What are you still holding on for? It's meaningless. Chapter 4494. However, seeing that the madman was about to die under the heavenly tribulation, Dong Hanzong was already prepared to celebrate. But at this moment the power of all evil appeared and the broken all-evil sword quickly reformed. How could this be? The joy in Dong Hanzong's eyes instantly disappeared and was replaced by disbelief. Heh! The madman bared his teeth. The power of all evil continued to pour into the all-evil sword. The aura of the all-evil sword instantly soared to a new level. If before, the lethality of the all-evil sword was equivalent to a low-level dominator weapon, now it was equivalent to a mid-level dominator weapon. Of course, the power of the all-evil sword was definitely not something a low-level or mid-level dominator weapon could compare to. It was just a metaphor. Moreover, with the appearance of the power of all evil, the injuries on the madman's body were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. He was the true body of all evil. Therefore, the power of all evil could not only help him kill his enemies, but it could also help him recover from his injuries. In layman's terms, the power of all evil was equivalent to a great tonic for him. Clang! With the increase in lethality, the madman swung his sword at the heavenly tribulation. Sword chi swept out in all directions, and with a loud bang, the heavenly tribulation shattered. The injuries on his body were also completely healed. The previous weakness and wretchedness were all gone, and he seemed to be full of energy. How could this be? Dong Hanzong's eyes trembled. He had clearly reached his limit before, so why did he recover to his peak state so quickly? Not only did he recover to his peak state, even the power of the all-evil sword had increased by so much. It was completely beyond common sense. The source of all evil, the true body of all evil, the power of all evil. In the past, I have only read about the source of all evil in ancient books, but I didn't expect it to be true. And it is even more terrifying than what was recorded in the ancient books. Princess Moon Fairy muttered. The source of all evil was the root of all evil. This was an extremely terrifying power. Because in this world, the power of evil was everywhere. It was also because of the terror of the source of all evil that no one had been able to control this power since ancient times. Because they couldn't withstand the corrosion of the evil aura. The evil aura would corrode a person's soul and intelligence, turning them into an evil puppet. It was equivalent to a puppet that had lost its soul and consciousness. But now, someone had actually merged with the source of all evil and successfully controlled this power. Moreover, he had even comprehended such a terrifying killing technique. The power of the all-evil sword was so strong that it made people tremble. No, the all-evil sword is not a killing technique that he comprehended. The emperor shook his head. Ah! Princess Yuxian looked at him in shock. Fusing with the origin of all evil is actually only the first step. The second step is to create the true body of all evil. However, this requires a certain amount of opportunity and luck. Obviously, Madman Mo has this opportunity and luck. He successfully created the all-evil true body, and the all-evil sword appeared along with the all-evil true body. To put it simply, the all-evil sword is the all-evil true body's innate ability. The emperor explained. Princess Yuxian asked, "Are you saying that as long as I can create the all-evil true body, I can directly create the all-evil sword and control it?" That's right. However, the emperor nodded. Then, a look of disbelief crept onto his face. But what? Princess Moon Fairy was suspicious. Something that could make her father feel disbelief was definitely not simple. Although I know the situation of the origin of all evil better than you, I never thought that the power of all evil could increase the power of the all-evil sword. According to my observation, it should be able to increase the power endlessly. The emperor said in a deep voice. Increase the power endlessly. Princess Yuxian's beautiful eyes widened. Didn't this mean that the more evil energy there was, the more lethality of the all-evil sword would increase? That's right. As long as there's evil energy in the world, the power of the all-evil sword will continue to increase. Moreover, with the all-evil true body, he can store the evil energy in the outside world in his body. When it's time to kill the enemy, he can instantly unleash it. By doing this, he can not only increase his combat power, but he can also catch the enemy off guard. The emperor said with a serious expression. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the power of origin in his hands, even he would have to retreat when facing Madman. Although he also had a legendary sovereign weapon, it was still lacking compared to the all-evil sword. Your Majesty! Suddenly, a skinny middle-aged man rushed to the emperor's side. He was wearing the uniform of the Death God army and bowed. Again? The emperor looked at him suspiciously. As a member of the Death God army, this person naturally had the will of the heavens. The emperor had some impression of this person, but he couldn't recall who it was. Donghan, what are you doing? The inner demons raised his eyebrows and looked at the skinny middle-aged man unhappily. Donghan. Princess Yuxian paused for a moment. She looked at Donghan for a moment and said, "You seem to be from the second family. I didn't expect your Majesty to remember this lowly one." Donghan said with a flattered look on his face, "I have some impression of you." Princess Yuxian smiled faintly. Donghan, why did you suddenly run over here? What do you want? The inner demon's expression became more and more unsatisfied. Commander, please calm down. Dong Han's expression was slightly flustered. He had just joined the 10th team of the Death God army. The inner demons Lu Jijin was his immediate superior. Seeing his superior get angry, especially when it was the inner demons, how could he not be flustered? If you have something to say it quickly. Don't dawdle. The inner demons' expression was impatient. This person suddenly ran over. What did he want to say? Yes. Dong Han nodded respectfully. He looked at the inner demons and said, Commander, you must know that I brought my people to the 4 great continents a few years ago. Of course I know. It's hard not to know such a big thing. You naively went to the 4 great continents to take advantage of the situation. But in the end you were hunted down by Qin Feiyang and the others. You were almost wiped out. The inner demons mocked. Hearing the inner demons' words, Dong Han was a little embarrassed. He sighed and said, That's true. But at the 4 great continents we saw something unbelievable. What is it? The inner demons was stunned and looked at him curiously. It's called lunatic. At that time Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, and the Golden-Winged Wolf King went to find trouble with Boss Ji and the others. I don't know if they wanted to kill them or subdue them. After all, the old antiques of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan are very powerful. If they can be subdued, they will become a terrifying force that can't be ignored by Qin Feiyang and the others. At that time, Madman Mo and Ji Laosher had a bloody battle. And I saw that battle with my own eyes. Dong Han said. A bloody battle? The Emperor, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong and Princess Yuxian were slightly stunned. They quickly asked what was the result. Lunatic lost miserably. Dong Han said. As expected. Lu Jijin smiled faintly. After all, these old men had mastered at least 7 ultimate profound meanings in 3,000 incarnations. No matter how strong the lunatic was or how terrifying the all-evil sword was, it was impossible for him to defeat them. However, although the madman was defeated, the methods and strength he displayed at that time can only be described as peerlessly terrifying. Dong Han's eyes trembled. Every time he thought of the battle between the lunatic and Boss Ji, he couldn't help but feel fear. What do you mean? Princess Yuxian frowned. An expert with the will of the heavens was scared to this extent? Of course, she didn't doubt Dong Han's courage. After all, as an expert with the will of the heavens, how could he not have the courage? The only reason was that the lunatic's means had exceeded Dong Han's tolerance. In other words, it had left a shadow in Dong Han's heart. At that time he also used his trump card, the all-evil sword. The situation at the beginning was the same as now. Although it was very powerful, it wasn't to the point of being heaven-defying. But, as Ji Laosher activated 3,000 incarnations, the lunatic's all-evil sword also became crazily stronger. Speaking up to here, Dong Han swallowed his saliva and said in horror, You will never know how many ultimate profound meanings he shattered with his last sword. How many? Dong Han frowned. He desperately wanted to know the answer to this question. 10,000. Dong Han raised a finger. What? 10,000 ultimate profound meanings. Dong Han's body and mind trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. The Emperor Dong Qingyuan and Princess Yuxian were also shocked to the extreme. One had to know. Ji Laosher was an expert with the will of the heavens, and each of his ultimate profound meanings contained the will of the heavens. How terrifying was it to shatter 10,000 ultimate profound meanings with one sword? If it wasn't for Dong Han saying it, and if they didn't know that Dong Han wouldn't dare to lie in front of them, they wouldn't dare to believe it. Dong Qingyuan said in a deep voice, Why didn't you tell us such an important thing before? I thought you knew. Because you and the deputy army commander have fought with them in the 4 great continents. But before I saw your reaction you didn't seem to know about this, so I immediately came to tell you. Dong Han said. Dong Qingyuan and Dong Han looked at each other. They really didn't know about this. Although the mad scientist had opened the all-evil sword when they were in the 4 great continents, he didn't inject the power of all evil into it. So, they thought that the all-evil sword they saw at that time was the strongest state of the all-evil sword. But they didn't expect. The true strongest state of the all-evil sword was an endless increase in power. Your Majesty, please give the order to kill him immediately. If we don't kill this person, there will be endless trouble in the future. Dong Qingyuan immediately looked at the Emperor and shouted. The emperor looked at the mad scientist, who was undergoing the tribulation, with a hint of killing intent in his eyes. Although the tribulation was getting stronger and stronger, it couldn't cause any damage to the mad scientist at all, because the all-evil sword in his hand was emitting a terrifying aura. What a busybody! The inner demons and Lu Jijin glanced at Dong Han with a hint of killing intent in their eyes. It was better to get rid of this busybody as soon as possible. Chapter 4495. So he has the confidence to win. Dong Hanzong stared at Madman, his hands tightly clenched together. He originally thought that Madman would die under the heavenly tribulation before the 50th tribulation, because at that time Madman was indeed in a sorry state. But he never thought that Madman still had such a trump card. If nothing unexpected happened, relying on the powerful all-evil sword, he could really succeed in passing the tribulation. That time, wouldn't he have to kneel down in front of everyone and call Madman Grandpa? No, this kind of thing was absolutely not allowed to happen. He also quickly looked at the emperor and bowed. Your Majesty, please give the order. He had to kill Madman before he succeeded in passing the tribulation. Otherwise, at that time he would be the one to lose face. Don't worry, it's already the 49th tribulation. One more tribulation away from the 50th tribulation. The emperor waved his hand. Kill, he definitely had to kill. If Madman didn't kill him, he would be able to suppress everyone with his strength alone. Such a threat was not inferior to Qin Feiyang. But it wasn't easy to find such a good opportunity. If he didn't kill Qin Feiyang, White-Eyed Wolf, and Madman in one fell swoop, he would be a bit unwilling. Gotcha! The 50th tribulation finally fell. Its power was many times stronger than the first tribulation. Because at this level of tribulation, the lethality of each tribulation would increase exponentially. But the all-evil sword in Madman's hand, with the continuous infusion of the all-evil sword, its lethality had soared to an extremely terrifying level. Damn heaven, you can't do anything to me. Madman looked at the tribulation and laughed wildly, the all-evil sword crazily slashing down. Boom! The heavenly tribulation that was powerful enough to destroy everything was destroyed by the all-evil sword just like that. It was as easy as blowing off dust. The lethality of his sword is estimated to be able to shatter 2,000 to 3,000 ultimate mysteries. Princess Moon Fairy murmured. He was ridiculously strong. If there was no origin force, no death god army encirclement, who could be this person's opponent? Could be said that, apart from Dong Hanzong and the Lu Yuntian brothers, no one could fight with him. He hasn't appeared yet. You weren't here when I first arrived. Fine, I'll kill Madman first. As your good brothers, I'm sure you'll be very sad to hear about Madman's death. The emperor murmured. A wisp of killing intent suddenly flashed in his eyes as he shouted, "Kill this person." His voice was like a great bell, resounding in all directions. Seeing that the emperor had finally given the order, Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong could not help but become spirited. They took a step forward and landed in the void in front of them, instantly activating their ultimate skills. Following closely, the members of the Death God army surrounding the Myriad Demons Valley, the Monster Kings of the Kuanpeng Sea region, the Beast Kings of the Sky Dragon Mountain Range, and the thousands of people of the 10 lineal families also stepped forward and activated their ultimate profound. Nearly 120,000 powerhouses of the will of the heavenly Tao simultaneously activated their ultimate profundities. Can you imagine what kind of scene that would be? Even if each of them had only grasped 6 ultimate mysteries, that would still be over 700,000 ultimate mysteries. Such a terrifying reality was probably enough to kill anyone in the world except for the sovereign of the divine kingdom, the ice dragon, and the heaven-devouring beast. What should we do? The inner demons raised their eyebrows and asked telepathically. Hold back for now. Lu Jijin's eyes flashed slightly as he glanced at the crowd. Don't look. I've already sensed the location of the emperor as soon as I arrived here. He's not far behind us. He must have activated the concealment technique so we can't see him. The inner demons thought. Hearing this, Lu Jijin withdrew his gaze and smiled secretly. Then let's go and pretend. The emperor is not a fool. How can we fool him by pretending? If we don't want the emperor to be suspicious, we have to go all out. The inner demons glanced at the emperor and sneered secretly. Then together with Lu Jijin they landed beside Dong Qingyuan and Dong Hanzong. Boom! The ultimate skill was activated. The aura rolled in all directions. Dong Qingyuan turned to look at the inner demons with a trace of doubt in his eyes. What are you looking at? Am I someone you can look at? Don't think that the grudge between us is over. After we kill Qin Feiyang and the others, we will slowly settle the score with you. You'd better pray that the emperor will protect you for the rest of your life. The inner demon smiled coldly. Dong Qingyuan's pupils shrank. Dong Hanzong said expressionlessly, "Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and activate your Demon King true body. The ultimate skill of the law of life and death, dual will of heaven." Are you teaching me how to do things? Do you think you can run away when the time comes? Blazing Flame Mountain plotted against us. Sooner or later you will pay the price for it. The inner demon sneered. Hearing this, Dong Hanzong couldn't help but clench his fists. A trace of hostility flashed between his eyebrows. But to be honest, although Qin Feiyang and the others are our enemies, I am a little grateful to them because they slaughtered Han Zongqing. The inner demons looked at Dong Hanzong mockingly. Have you said enough? Dong Hanzong growled. The hatred and anger that he had suppressed with great difficulty were instantly ignited. What are you doing? The emperor frowned and glared at the two. Nothing. Just to get in touch with him. The inner demons bared their teeth. The emperor's mouth twitched. Do you think I'm deaf? You said so loudly that I can't hear you? To be honest, he had a love-hate relationship with his inner demons. He liked the inner demon's talent, ability, and means. What he hated was the inner demon's personality. They were too arrogant and domineering. Not to mention Dong Hanzong and Dong Qingyuan, even he, the emperor of the central dynasty, might not be in his eyes. Hey! Madman Mo, although this is a little unfair, there is no other way. We don't dare to disobey His Majesty's order. The inner demons looked at the madman who was standing in the sky above the myriad demons valley, facing the 51st tribulation, and laughed. The madman shattered the tribulation with a casual swing of his sword. He turned to look at the inner demons and laughed. It's okay, bring it on. Still so arrogant? The inner demons was slightly stunned and joked. Do you still not understand your current situation? I'm not stupid. How can I not understand? But I believe that I won't die. The madman laughed. It's good to be confident, but too much confidence will cost you your life. The inner demon's blood boiled as the Demon King true body appeared. It was 10,000 feet tall and emitted a murderous aura. From afar, it looked like a group of terrifying demon kings had descended. This is Lu Yuntian's Demon King true body. It's really strong. It said that this Demon King true body is the only way to fight against Qin Feiyang's 3,000 avatars. And it was comprehended by Lu Yuntian himself. In terms of talent, this person deserves to be number one. Even Dong Hanzong is far inferior to him. The crowd at the back who had come to watch the show revealed looks of admiration when they saw this scene. Dong Hanzong's universe domain was indeed heaven-defying, but it was innate. But the Demon King true body was different. The Demon King true body was comprehended by Lu Yuntian through his own efforts. This was the difference between the two. With Lu Yuntian here, the madman will definitely die. After all, he alone is equivalent to 3,000 people's combat power. You're wrong. Not only does he have the combat power of 3,000 people, he also has the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death and has mastered two will of heaven. As expected, the next moment, the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, the kingdom of life and death, appeared out of nowhere. The eruption of two wills of heaven instantly made the inner demons the focus of the entire city. Because his strength and aura were too terrifying. It was as if there was nothing that couldn't be done with him. If only his character was better, it would be even more perfect, Princess Yuxian murmured. At the end of her sentence, a smile appeared on her peerless face. If one looked carefully, her cheeks seemed to be slightly red, giving her a different kind of charm. Chapter 4496. Kill. Dong Qingyuan's sudden roar resounded through the sky. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time, and could no longer hold back the killing intent in his heart. Whether it was the people at the entrance or the members of the Death God army, they all heard Dong Qingyun's roar at this moment. Rumble. Ultimate profoundness that filled the sky immediately charged towards the sky above the Thousand Demons Valley from all directions. One must know. At this moment, not only the entrance of the Thousand Demons Valley, but even the other directions had been blocked. In short, the entire Thousand Demons Valley was surrounded by members of the Death God army. Even a fly would not be able to fly in. Haha. More than 700,000 ultimate profoundness that contains the will of the heavenly Tao. You guys really think highly of me. I can't let you guys down. Lunatic laughed wildly. He knew that Qin Feiyang and the rest must be hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to strike. This was the trust between brothers. Although they did not see Qin Feiyang and the rest from the beginning to the end, they still believed in it. So now, what he needed to do was to attract everyone's attention. It was equivalent to attracting everyone's attention on him, thus creating an opportunity for Qin Feiyang and the rest to launch a surprise attack. Boom! The power of all evil was injected into the all-evil sword. The all-evil sword not only trembled but also made clanging sounds as if it had absorbed a large amount of power of all evil, making it unusually excited. No matter how many come, I'll kill them all. At this moment, Lunatic seemed to be possessed as he waved the all-evil sword crazily. Numerous strands of sword chi were like a torrent that had broken through a dam. They shattered the sky and surged towards the ultimate profundities that were charging towards him from all directions. Although it was only sword chi, its sharpness was still peerless. Accompanied by a deafening loud sound, waves of ultimate profoundness were constantly annihilated. Countless living beings were dumbfounded by this scene. There were so many ultimate profoundness and they all contained the will of the heavenly Tao. However, the all-evil sword seemed to have an indestructible power. Just like Lunatic's previous clamor, he would kill them all. In just an instant, a total of more than 5,000 to 6,000 ultimate profoundness were shattered by the sword chi. Not enough. It can still be stronger. Power of all evil erupt. Madman roared. The power of all evil that had been accumulating in his body for a long time surged out like a flood and instantly entered the all-evil sword. Clang! The all-evil sword trembled even more violently. A deafening sound echoed in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the lethality of the all-evil sword soared to a whole new level. As Madman continued to swing his sword, waves of blood-colored sword chi shot out like a surging torrent. At this moment, nothing else could be seen in this void except for countless sword chi clashing with hundreds of thousands of ultimate intents. The sword chi was shattering. The ultimate profound was also shattering. Furthermore, at least several tens of ultimate profound would shatter at the same time each time. In terms of quality, every single strand of sword chi from the all-evil sword was far superior to the ultimate profundities that contained the will of the heavenly Tao. How can he be so strong? Princess Yuxian didn't make a move. She stood beside the emperor and silently watched this scene. Her heart was in turmoil. One man and one sword was actually able to contend against over 700,000 ultimate profundities. Most importantly, the current madman showed no signs of losing. He was like a god, standing in the sky above the myriad Devil Valley. Not a single ultimate profound could break through the blockade of the sword chi and reach him. As the princess of the Central Dynasty, the apple of the emperor's eye, what kind of world had she not seen? But this was the first time she had seen such a scene in her life. Actually, if it was in the past, Madman would definitely not have this ability. Because in the past, the power of all evil in his body was not much. But now, first, he took the initiative to absorb the evil power in the Black Tortoise world. Later, he entered the Myriad Devil Valley. Moreover, it had been 2 years since Madman entered the Myriad Devil Valley. With Madman's brain, he would definitely set up a time array when he was in seclusion to fuse the ultimate profound. In other words, from the outside it seemed like 2 years, but in reality, Madman had stayed in the Myriad Devil Valley for over 3 million years. For over 3 million years, although he did not take the initiative to absorb the evil power, he did not dare to do so. Because if he did so, it would cause too much of a commotion and would definitely alarm the living beings near the Myriad Devil Valley. But, even if he did not take the initiative to absorb the evil power of the Myriad Devil Valley, for over 3 million years, The amount of evil power that entered his body was unimaginable. It could be said that, at this time, the power of all evil in his body, even if he crazily squandered it, it would not be used up in a short period of time. The most important thing was, he could take the initiative to absorb the evil power of the myriad Devil Valley at any time. Because now, his whereabouts had been exposed, so there was no need to worry so much. Don't you know that as the body of all evil, I am invincible in the myriad Devil Valley? Madman laughed wildly. Finally, he began to take the initiative to absorb the evil power of the myriad Devil Valley. Immediately, waves of evil power crazily rushed towards him like a tide. The void where he was instantly submerged in blood mist, as if it had turned into a sea of blood. What kind of monster is this person? The evil power here, even we don't dare to touch it easily, but this person not only dared to run into the myriad Devil Valley, but also directly absorbed the evil power. The humans, beasts, and sea beasts that gathered in the distance were all in disbelief. The fact that the myriad Demons Valley could become a revered forbidden zone in the Central Dynasty was enough to show how terrifying it was. But they did not expect such a monster to run out now. In the eyes of this person, this evil power was like a tonic. Time passed breath by breath. Madman held the all-evil sword in his hand. While resisting the terrifying heavenly tribulation, he also bombarded the ultimate profound in the surroundings, like a demon god. Many creatures had already been scared out of their wits by Madman's means. It was simply too ridiculous. More than 700,000 ultimate profound in supreme law couldn't do anything to him for a while. Of those 700,000 ultimate profound, 10,000 had already been shattered by the sword chi of the all-evil sword. One must know, when he fought with Ji Lauscher back then, Madman's all-evil sword could only shatter 10,000 ultimate profound. In other words, at this time the all-evil sword had already surpassed the all-evil sword back then, and it was only a matter of time before it surpassed it. As expected, with enough evil power, the all-evil sword would be able to increase its power endlessly. Why, a mere person from the lower realm, how could he merge with the source of all evil, create the true body of all evil, and become a god that controls all evil in the world? I refuse to accept this. I, Dong Hanzong, have mastered the Qian Kuan domain, stellar shift, invincible body, sealing force, and other heaven-defying means. I must not lose to him. Everyone listen to my order. Immediately stop the next round of attacks. Looking at the awe-inspiring and all-powerful madman, Dong Hanzong's heart went crazy. Anger and jealousy emerged uncontrollably, following his roar. Immediately, around the myriad Devil Valley, all the will of heaven powerhouses once again displayed their ultimate profound. Chapter 4497. Little lunatic, this guy is simply invincible in the Thousand Demons Valley. The white-eyed wolf grinned. Although he is indeed powerful, if this continues, he will still suffer in the end. Qin Feiyang glanced at Dong Qingyuan and the others, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Before the first wave subsided, another wave arose. These people didn't want to give senior brother Lunatic any chance to breathe. We should also make a move. After all, Lunatic still has to transcend the tribulation. Moreover, the power of all evil will be useful in the future battle. We can't waste it all here. Longchen said. Heard it. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. He looked at the Emperor and Princess Yuxian and said, I have long wanted to make a move, but I was a little hesitant. What are you hesitating for? Longchen was puzzled. Look at the Emperor and Princess Yuxian. Why haven't they made a move yet? It's because they see that only senior brother Lunatic is here, so they don't need to use the power of origin. But once we make a move, they will definitely use the power of origin. Once the power of origin appears, we will have no hope. Qin Feiyang said. Because Lunatic still had more than 40 heavenly tribulations left. On average, each heavenly tribulation would take about 10 breaths, so 40 heavenly tribulations would take 400 breaths. With the terrifying power of the power of origin, 400 breaths was enough to kill Qin Feiyang and the others countless times. In other words, they couldn't hold on for more than 400 breaths. That's true. Longchen whispered. The Death God Army, the Kuanpeng Sea region, the Sky Dragon Mountain Range, the 10 direct descendant families, These heavenly will powerhouses were actually not the main point. The most terrifying one was the Emperor. This person controlled the power of origin, and more than one or two heavenly will. If the Emperor didn't make a move, everything was still possible. But if the Emperor made a move, they would have to face a nightmare. Little lunatic, you can choose another place to transcend the tribulation. The black tortoise world has grown for so many years. I wonder if it can withstand the tribulation now? Little Qin, why don't you ask that brat? White-eyed wolf said. All right. Qin Feiyong nodded, and immediately asked little wimp secretly. As for the Emperor, White-eyed wolf opened his mouth again. His eyes flashed and he said with a sneaky smile, I have an idea. What? Long Chen and the Sea Lion King looked at him suspiciously. Now that the situation was critical, as long as it wasn't a particularly bad idea, it would be fine. Find someone to go to Imperial Capital Mountain. The Imperial Capital Mountain is their headquarters. As long as someone attacks the Imperial Capital Mountain now, the Emperor will definitely not be able to remain calm. The white-eyed wolf cackled. Qin Feiyong, Long Chen and Sea Lion glanced at each other. He did not expect the white-eyed wolf to come up with such a good idea. Not bad. There is no better idea. Imperial Capital Mountain was the sacred ground of the Central Dynasty. There must be a lot of treasures and resources hidden there. It was even possible. More than half of the Central Dynasty's resources were on Imperial Capital Mountain. As long as someone went to the Imperial Capital Mountain now, how could the Emperor remain calm? Furthermore, the person who killed his way to the Imperial Capital Mountain must definitely be powerful enough. Because only in this way can the Emperor go back in person. After all, if we can't lure the Emperor away, no matter how perfect our plan is, it will be meaningless. The white-eyed wolf thought. Not bad. You always drop the ball at the critical moment, but now you can come up with such a good idea. Qin Feiyong patted the white-eyed wolf's shoulder. This guy was finally reliable for once. Nonsense. I usually just pretend to be stupid. Do you think I'm really stupid? The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly. Then who will go? Sea Lion King looked at Qin Feiyong and the other two and asked. Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and looked at Long Chen at the same time. Why are you looking at me? You are not going to let me go, are you? Long Chen was stunned. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth and said, Your god's domain is so strong now. There will be no problem. The corner of Long Chen's mouth twitched. Going to the Imperial Capital Mountain alone and facing the Emperor of the Central Dynasty later, he couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. He said, I think it's better for Brother Qin to go, because in the eyes of the Emperor, Brother Qin's threat is far greater than mine. No. They don't care about you now because they don't know that the person who went to the Imperial Capital Mountain, killed the 9 commanders and slaughtered Han Zhongqing was you. If they know, you will be more important in their hearts than me. Qin Feiyong waved his hand. Long Chen was speechless. Anyway, I can't run away. You are the number 1 person in our team now. Qin Feiyong laughed. Don't flatter me. Long Chen's face darkened. Number 1. Although my god's domain has evolved, to be honest, I don't have the confidence to defeat Qin Feiyong. 3,000 incarnations, Eye of Heaven, Law of Life and Death, Dual Will of Heavenly Tao. Especially the Eye of Heaven. For Qin Feiyong, who grasped the law of time, he only needed to lay down a time array. He didn't need to go to the black tortoise world to instantly replicate a large amount of ultimate meaning. In other words, after Qin Feiyong grasped the law of time, the weakness of the Eye of Heaven's replication speed no longer existed. Time is tight, hurry up. The white-eyed wolf urged. Okay. Long Chen had a helpless expression. He directly walked out of the invisible state and opened a space-time passage to leave. Because now, everyone's attention was on the madman. In addition, Long Chen had never appeared in the Central Dynasty. Although Dongqing Yuan and the other giants knew of his existence, the others didn't. The only time he appeared was when he killed the 9 commanders and slaughtered Han Zhongqing. He was still hiding his identity, so no one paid attention to him. In the sky above the Myriad Devil Valley, the madman had already gone completely crazy. The evil power of the Myriad Devil Valley crazily poured into his body. From afar, it was as if he was standing in a sea of blood. Imperial Capital Mountain. A space-time passage appeared. A red-haired old man sat cross-legged under a stone tablet. His eyes were narrowed and his aura was extraordinary. The original guard had already died in the hands of Long Chun. When he killed the 9 commanders, he also killed him. Therefore, this red-haired old man was the new guard. He was also a will of heavenly Tao expert. Similarly, he also had a low-class sovereign weapon. This was the standard of the guards at the entrance of the imperial capital mountain, because only those who were strong enough could guard the entrance. Who is it? As Long Chun walked out of the space-time passage, the red-haired old man immediately opened his eyes and looked at Long Chun with vigilance. Because of the previous guard's lesson, this red-haired old man was especially careful. You don't recognize me? Long Chun stood in the sky and smiled faintly. The red-haired old man was slightly taken aback and looked at Long Chun suspiciously. Long Chun shook his head and smiled. Looks like there aren't many people in the Central Dynasty who know me. What do you mean? Is this person not from the Central Dynasty? The red-haired old man was shocked. Clang! In the next moment, he suddenly stood up and a 3-meter-long saber appeared in his hand. Divine aura spread in all directions. This was his sovereign weapon. There was a lifelike azure dragon carved on it. At first glance, it looked like the azure dragon crescent saber. Please remember my name. My name is Long Chun. Long Chun smiled and opened his divinity domain. It was as if he had turned into a god. The red-haired old man immediately felt a strong sense of danger. Long Chun. The red-haired old man murmured. This name sounded familiar. Where had he heard it before? Wait. It seemed that Qin Feiyang had an accomplice called Long Chun. Could it be? The red-haired old man's eyes suddenly widened. These people were too bold. They came to the imperial capital mountain again and again. Following closely, the red-haired old man stared at the divinity domain. What was this thing? Why did it give him such a strong sense of danger? You should be familiar with it. Because someone had seen my divinity domain in Hanzhongqing. Long Chun smiled. He took a step forward and landed in front of the entrance with the divinity domain. A light screen appeared in front of the entrance. This was the barrier that protected the imperial capital mountain. Hanzhongqing. The red-haired old man's eyes trembled as he stared at Long Chun and the divinity domain in surprise. Are you the one who killed the 9 great commanders and slaughtered Hanzhongqing? Congratulations, your answer is correct. Long Chun smiled. Chapter 4498. So it was you who did it. Coming to my imperial capital mountain to kill people, and the ones you killed are the 9 commanders. You really have guts. The red-haired old man's killing intent soared into the sky. Is imperial capital mountain that great? Long Chun smiled faintly and stepped towards the barrier at the entrance. Don't waste your energy. The barrier of imperial capital mountain is formed by the divine kingdom's rule force. With your ability, it's impossible to break the barrier and step into imperial capital mountain. The red-haired old man sneered. Is that so? Since you know that I slaughtered Hanzhongqing, you should know that rule force is useless against me. Facing the red-haired old man's ridicule, Long Chun smiled lightly. When he landed in front of the barrier, the moment his god's domain touched the barrier, the rock-solid barrier began to distort and deform. The red-haired old man was instantly dumbfounded. What was going on? Could it be that the rule force this person controlled in Hanzhongqing was related to this domain? So terrifying. How could there be such a person in this world? Boom! The next moment, the barrier collapsed and turned into rule force. However, this rule force did not dissipate and gathered in front of Long Chun. It was as if he was the ruler of this world. Following closely, Long Chun stepped into imperial capital mountain and looked at the red-haired old man with a faint smile. Can you stop me? What kind of monster are you? The red-haired old man roared in horror and turned around to flee frantically. His face was pale and full of fear. Since ancient times, no one could shake the barrier of imperial capital mountain, let alone break it. But now, this Long Chun actually broke the barrier in an instant without any effort at all. Monster! Long Chun murmured, shook his head and laughed. Not to mention this old man, sometimes even he felt like a monster. Of course, he wasn't the only monster. There were many around him. Where do you want to go? As soon as these words came out, the god's domain quickly expanded and finally merged with this world. It was equivalent to saying, now the entire imperial capital mountain was his domain. Rule force emerged like a tide, crazily rushing towards the red-haired old man. There was nowhere to escape, because all directions were filled with rule force. The red-haired old man activated his sovereign divine weapon and desperately defended himself. Simultaneously, he also wanted to activate the ultimate intent of ultimate laws. However, he discovered that the power of laws in his body seemed to be sealed, and he couldn't activate it. This was the realm of gods? No. Hurry up and inform His Majesty. The red-haired old man was terrified. He took out the divine sound transmission stone. Long Chun didn't stop him, because this was exactly what he wanted. If he did not give the red-haired old man a chance to send a message, how would the emperor know that he had attacked the imperial capital mountain? In the blink of an eye, Myriad Demons Valley, Madman had already shattered more than 20,000 ultimate profundities. His blood-red hair fluttered in the wind. His two blood-red eyes were overflowing with bloody light. Like a peerless demon with a bloody sword in his hand, he swept across the land. What a pity! It would be great if he was from our divine nation. The emperor shook his head regretfully. Not to mention the lunatics in the future. Just the lunatics now were enough to dominate the world. Could be said that, without the power of origin, without a powerful sovereign divine weapon, looking at the current divine kingdom, no one was a match for the lunatics. The emperor couldn't figure it out. Why would such an outstanding person be born in the sky cloud realm? The lunatics were the same. Qin Feiyang and Golden Wing Wolf King were the same. What if these three were all born in the divine kingdom? Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, Golden Wing Wolf King. In addition to Lu Yuntian and Lu Yunfeng, there was also Dong Hanzong, Dong Tianchen, Dong Xian, Dong Qin, and Dong Ping. These were a total of 10 peerless geniuses. With these 10 peerless geniuses, who could compete with the divine kingdom? It wasn't impossible for them to dominate the world. Buzz. Just as the emperor was imagining things, the divine sound transmission stone suddenly rang. The emperor raised his eyebrows. At this time, who would send him a message? He didn't want to bother, because right now he really didn't have the mood to bother. But the divine sound transmission stone kept ringing. The emperor angrily took out the divine sound transmission stone. As it woke up, the image of the red-haired old man appeared. What are you doing? Don't you know that we're busy in the Myriad Devil Valley? The emperor said angrily. The red-haired old man shouted, I know, but your majesty. Something bad has happened. Long Chun has come to our imperial capital mountain again. Long Chun? He went to imperial capital mountain again? What do you mean? The emperor was stunned. Beside him, Princess Yuxian couldn't help but look at the red-haired old man suspiciously. The red-haired old man shouted anxiously, this Long Chun is the person who came to imperial capital mountain last time, killed the 9 great commanders and slaughtered Han Zongcheng. So it's him. The emperor's gaze trembled, and he said in a deep voice, Long Chun. I've heard Dong Qingyun mention this person before, but is he so strong? Yes. Your Majesty, you should hurry back. Otherwise imperial capital mountain will be razed to the ground by him. The red-haired old man was burning with anxiety. Raze imperial capital mountain to the ground. The emperor was stunned and mocked. He can't even enter imperial capital mountain. How can he raise it to the ground? Don't be an alarmist here, just guard your gate. After we get rid of Madman Mo, we will immediately return. It's too late, it's too late. He has already entered imperial capital mountain. The red-haired old man roared. What? The emperor's face suddenly changed. Princess Yuxian's face also changed. He has already entered imperial capital mountain. How is this possible? The red-haired old man said. He can control the rule force of our divine kingdom. The barrier of imperial capital mountain is useless against him. Bastard! The emperor roared and thunder raged. What's the situation? This roar startled all directions. Countless people looked at the emperor. What happened? Why did the emperor suddenly become so angry? Suddenly, a faint laughter sounded, and a white figure appeared behind the red-haired old man. This person is? Everyone looked at the young man in white who suddenly appeared in surprise. Long Chen. Dong Hanzong's pupils shrank, and he roared, "Why are you at Imperial Capital Mountain?" "Not only me, we are all at Imperial Capital Mountain. You guys went to Thousand Devil Valley to kill Madman. Of course we can't be at a disadvantage, so we took the opportunity to come and destroy your nest. I think there should be a lot of divine objects in this Imperial Capital Mountain." Long Chen chuckled. Then with a wave of his hand, accompanied by a loud clang, the ruler divine weapon Sky Dragon sword appeared. The red-haired old man's face turned pale, and the Zamadeo in his hand erupted with a destructive power, slashing towards Long Chen. "Low-level ruler divine weapon, don't take it out and embarrass yourself." Long Chen shook his head. With a slash of the Sky Dragon sword, the Zamadeo shattered on the spot. That's right. It was shattered. A ruler divine weapon was destroyed just like that. Although it was a low-level ruler divine weapon, it was destroyed just like that. Who knows how many people's hearts ached. This guy, no matter what, it's a ruler divine weapon, doesn't he know how to keep it? The white-eyed wolf, who was invisible, kept twitching the corner of his mouth. It was really a waste of God's gift. Don't be in a hurry to come back. We still want to walk around Imperial Capital Mountain. After shattering the Zamadeo, Long Chen looked at the emperor with a smile, and another sword fell. The red-haired old man, who was unable to activate the ultimate profound, could only watch as the Sky Dragon sword came. "Your Majesty, save me!" Accompanied by a desperate scream, the red-haired old man died on the spot. The reason why Long Chen killed the red-haired old man so quickly was because he didn't want the red-haired old man to speak. Because the red-haired old man knew that only Long Chen went to Imperial Capital Mountain alone. If the red-haired old man exposed this lie, the emperor would definitely be suspicious. After all, the emperor was not a fool. If the emperor knew that only Long Chen went to Imperial Capital Mountain alone, he might think that this was their plan to lure the tiger away from the mountain. That time, maybe the emperor would have other arrangements. You really don't know what's good for you. Seeing this scene with his own eyes, the emperor's eyebrows were filled with hostility. Not only did he barge into Imperial Capital Mountain, but he also killed people of Imperial Capital Mountain in front of him. This was not only a provocation to the Central Dynasty, but also a provocation to his dignity as the emperor. It was simply unforgivable. "Moon Immortal, stay here and help. You must kill Madman Mo." The emperor looked at the Moon Immortal princess and said before opening a space-time tunnel. Chapter 4499. "Father, are you okay to go back alone?" Princess Moon Fairy was a little worried, because Long Chen had personally said that they were all at Imperial Capital Mountain. This they must be referring to Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the golden-winged wolf king. "Don't worry. I have the power of origin in my hands. Today, Imperial Capital Mountain will be his burial ground." The emperor stepped into the space-time channel with murderous intent. Phew! The Sea Lion Demon King couldn't help but let out a long breath. The biggest threat had finally left. Don't be too careless. Since the emperor dares to let Princess Moon Fairy stay behind, it means that this woman must have the power of origin in her hands. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Why didn't he bring Princess Moon Fairy back to Imperial Capital Mountain? This way they would be more confident. Hearing this, the Sea Lion Demon King's expression stiffened, and his heart became uneasy again. "Look at your cowardice. If it weren't for the fact that you are pitiful and homeless, I would have chased you away long ago." The white-eyed wolf looked at him with disdain. After all, he was a demon king who controlled the will of the heavenly Tao. Couldn't he be a little more ambitious? The Sea Lion Demon King wanted to cry but had no tears. Who could blame him for being cowardly? Didn't he see who his opponent was? Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Kuanpeng, the dragon god, about 120,000 heavenly Tao powerhouses, and Princess Moon Fairy, who might have the power of origin. How could he not be nervous with such a terrifying lineup? The fact that he could stay here and not run away was already praiseworthy of his courage. Stop talking nonsense. It's time for us to make a move. Qin Feiyang, Dong Qingyuan, Dong Hanzong, Kuanpeng, and the dragon god's eyes gradually turned cold. Long Chen couldn't drag it out for long. Although his god's domain was very heaven-defying, he had personally said that he hadn't controlled the power of origin of the divine kingdom yet. Even just interfering was very difficult. So, he had to end the battle quickly. No, he couldn't continue fighting. He had to think of a way to take the madman away from Thousand Demons Valley and find another place to transcend the tribulation. Only then could he truly escape danger. What did that brat say? White-Eyed Wolf asked. He hasn't replied to me yet. He probably isn't confident either. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's a little tricky. White-Eyed Wolf frowned. However, right at this moment, Little Wimp's voice rang out in Qin Feiyang's mind. Brat, let that little lunatic come in and undergo the tribulation. Can the Black Tortoise realm withstand it? Qin Feiyang's spirits were lifted. Hold my ass. The little brat seemed to be very angry. He seemed to be disdaining Qin Feiyang and the others for always causing trouble for him. If he can't withstand it, you still want him to go to the Black Tortoise world to undergo the tribulation? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Although we can't withstand it, the Black Tortoise realm has grown a lot over the years. Not to mention how strong it is, it's at least a lot stronger than when you were undergoing the tribulation. Just now, Fire Lotus and I have already moved the western region, and the northern region's living beings and resources are specially set aside for lunatic to undergo the tribulation. Little Wimp said snappily. So that's how it is. Thank you. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and was extremely grateful to this little brat. As long as he could enter the Black Tortoise realm to undergo the tribulation, then most of the problem would be solved. Moreover, the Black Tortoise realm had a time array. Even though lunatics spent half a day in the Black Tortoise realm to undergo the tribulation, only a moment had passed outside. Immediately, Qin Feiyang told the White-Eyed Wolf and the Sea Lion Demon King the good news. That's great. As long as lunatic can enter the Black Tortoise realm, then with your speed, escaping the encirclement will be easy. The Sea Lion Demon King laughed in joy. Easy. Qin Feiyang and the White-Eyed Wolf looked at each other and the corners of their mouths twitched. How could it be so easy? But no matter what, as long as lunatic could enter the Black Tortoise realm to undergo the tribulation, the situation would be much better. Let's do it. The White-Eyed Wolf transmitted his voice. Qin Feiyang nodded and said to the Sea Lion Demon King, You deal with these people who are here to join in the fun. The Sea Lion Demon King swept his gaze across the crowd. Although there was a sea of people around, none of them had grasped the will of the heavenly Tao, so there was nothing to worry about. Boss Qin really took care of him and gave him such an easy task. Leave it to me. If he still didn't dare to nod, then he would really lose face. Huff! Qin Feiyang let out a long breath. In the next moment, he took a step forward, leading the White-Eyed Wolf and Sea Lion Demon King to land silently behind Princess Yuxian, Dong Hanzong, Dong Qingyuan, Kuan Peng, Heaven Dragon God, Heart Demon and Lu Jiajin. At the same time, the second wave of attacks had been completed, and they were only waiting for Dong Qingyuan's order. More than 700,000 ultimate mysteries floated in the air, emitting a destructive power. Now's the time. Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with murderous intent. The 3,000 incarnations and the Eye of Heaven opened almost at the same time. Roar! A series of deafening dragon roars took place. Following that, a destructive aura erupted between the heavens and the earth. Everyone present couldn't help but be shocked and immediately looked up. They saw Qin Feiyang, the White-Eyed Wolf, and the Sea Lion Demon King standing in the air. Qin Feiyang's 3,000 incarnations stood neatly behind the three of them. Above each incarnation's head, there was a purple gold dragon soul. In between the dragon soul's eyebrows, there was an eye that could make heaven and earth tremble. This was the Eye of Heaven. What's going on? Aren't they on Imperial Capital Mountain? Could it be? Everyone was surprised. The 3,000 purple gold dragon souls almost filled half the sky, emitting a monstrous dragon aura. And in the void under the feet of the 3,000 incarnations, there was a time array visible to the naked eye. They stood in the center of the time array, like gods descending. Not to mention the onlookers, even the Death God army, Beast Kings, and Demon Kings couldn't help but feel fear. This was a kind of instinctive fear. This was Qin Feiyang's current prestige. No matter how strong one was, as long as they saw him, they would instinctively feel fear. And above the 3,000 incarnations dragon souls, ultimate mysteries were constantly being replicated. Stepping on the time array, one day was equivalent to 5,000 years. This replication speed naturally couldn't be compared to before. It was just a blink of an eye. Above the 3,000 incarnations' heads, there were hundreds of thousands of ultimate mysteries, emitting a divine aura that made people feel fear. Kill. All of this was set to be slow, but the whole process was just a blink of an eye. Suddenly, the 3,000 incarnations roared in unison, and their killing intent shook the sky. At this moment, heaven and earth changed color, and the void collapsed crazily like a scene of doomsday. Rumble. Hundreds of thousands of ultimate mysteries were like a torrent, rushing toward Dong Hanzong and the others. Kuan Peng's expression changed. The dragon god's expression changed. Dong Qingyuan's face was also pale. The inner demons in Lu Jijin's eyes flickered, and they didn't intend to resist at all. They definitely didn't want to fight with Qin Feiyang and the others. But with so many people present, and Princess Yuxian personally overseeing it, they couldn't just stand by and watch. Therefore, there was only one way. They were seriously injured. Only when they were seriously injured would they have a reason not to make a move. However, they couldn't just sit and wait for death. With hundreds of thousands of ultimate mysteries, if they just stood there and let themselves be beaten, they would definitely end up with their bodies and souls destroyed. Therefore, after pretending to be shocked, the inner demons immediately activated the momentary time. Dual wills of the heavenly Tao turned around and flew away. Yes, their shock was just an act for others to see. Because they already knew that Qin Feiyang and the others were hiding here. Since they already knew, what was there to be shocked about? Therefore, they still had to put on an act. In the face of such a sudden attack, if they didn't even put on an act, it would definitely arouse suspicion. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.